Well, the wait is practically over as we look at our 21 finalists here at the 2012 Red Bull Rampage, and just an illustrious list of the riders that dominate the sport. The first rider to be taking the drop will be Brendan Howie. You talked about how this could be anyone's contest. As you look at this list, anyone jump out that you've seen maybe yesterday in practice that we maybe overlooked?
Well, you know, Pat, it could be anybody, right? Like, it's so deep, it's so stacked. McCaul, the other McCaul, you know, someone mentioned earlier, the dark horse Nico Vink. We haven't seen him before.
And that is something that Rampage always continues to deliver. Guys come out of the woodworks and they put together a barn burner of a run. As we look at Brendan Howie, you talk to all the riders, this is a guy you want to take a road trip with. Always optimistic, not afraid to grab the shovel and put some time in. And we're going to be getting into the details, how much work these guys put in. They come out here a week before, find their own line, build it, and then they jump it. And it's the gaps, the lines that you were going to see here today defy description. You can see up there, it's going to be close to 1,000-foot vertical drop. They have to make it in just under 4 minutes. It's not a timed event. The best of 2 runs counts. And Brendan Howie is on course. Here we go.
Looks like great conditions out there, Pat. No wind, sun shining. Brendan's, you know, coming in a little easy, but we've seen him charge this line before, and I think he's definitely here to show everybody that he means business.
Just on that fin as he drops in, not an easy place to navigate. He has to stick that and then make it to that midsection where he tends to turn it up on his line. Watch this.
He definitely gets more air and more speed as he gets down the ridge. And, you know, all this stuff is completely blind. They don't see anything until they find their little mark or pebble that they put out on the course so they can figure out where they're going.
And Howie doing a great job traversing across to the other side of the course. And you can see just trying to navigate all the way to the bottom. And as he approaches this section, a great drop-off section.
And how about the early morning light pan? I mean, these riders are going from serious sunshine to complete darkness, as you can see, and the whole while full gas. These are the bigger jumps in his line. Nice.
Oh, yes. Turns it up at the bottom over the McCaul knob there. So a great creative line. We see a lot of guys tend to get lost in this lower section, but Howie doing a great job on his first run of 2 where best run counts. So a stand-up run, we've seen a lot of riders all week in practice and in qualifiers not even make it to the finish line. So it's a great start off to the 2012 Red Bull Rampage. See Howie up and standing with a full pull.
Oh. Yeah, buddy.
That brings us to the judging here. Judges looking for line choice, fluidity control, traction style, and amplitude. The jumps are just going to get bigger and bigger, and these guys are going to start sprinkling in, peppering in, as you like to say, as they get that safety run in.
Definitely. I mean, he's charging into the darkness here. He's picking up fluidity partway down his run. You know, this is not the gnarliest run on the hill, but these jumps are still huge. I mean, that's in a movie, you would see that 3-4 times in the opening segment, maybe. Big no-hander, that's a massive gap. It looks to me about 40 feet, and this is a totally blind jump over the rock. Like, this is a solid run. I hope he doesn't get, you know, a little bit worked being the first rider, like can happen in these situations.
Yeah, we do tend to see that. Judges will calibrate, and it looks, wow, just that curse of the first run, perhaps 41.75. That would have not even been good enough in qualifiers, so he'll look to improve on his second run. 19 years old, you find yourself up atop this peak. Have to make it down in the bottom in 4 or less minutes, and we've watched him all week. He has been charging. He is fast. That's one of his strongest suits. It is none other than Brett Rheeder making his way to the finals on his first of 2. Let's see what he has.
Bar spin right out of the gate.
Oh, no. And this is interesting, opting for a line that we didn't see him taking. He was opting for that looker's right, or actually rider's right if you're going down. So taking a little bit, and you can see just how soft the dirt is on some of those sloping side sections.
Well, take a look at the ridge. It looks like it's 1.5 feet wide. A bar spin to that. I mean, whoever does that. Yeah, this kid has an exceptionally large bag of tricks. It's a bit new for him to be here. This isn't his backyard. So, you know, let's hope to see him come back in the second run and nail that, because I think we can see huge things from this guy.
This was a ridge in practice. He was just dominating, taking speed, and now he's back to form.
Brett's focused, he's quiet, you don't really know what to expect. He's a little unassuming, but he's got more tricks in his bag than Big D has hundreds in his pockets.
Oh, and right there, Rheeder taking a little flight. And we were talking with a lot of the judges. They say these guys are taking it with a little more speed. They can make up for it. Sometimes the speed outweighs the amplitude, especially in that creativity in line. But right there, that's going to spell a definite throwaway for Rheeder.
You got to wonder, Pat, this is that whole sun shadow situation. And if he just got slightly offline and didn't realize he was going into a big pocket of sand.
So many just crevices, nooks and crannies to this course, and this early morning light definitely difficult. And you see, guys, that was a jump all through practice. Guys are having difficulty clearing.
Obviously, he's taking this as a fun run, just getting down, because we know that Brett actually backflipped out at qualities, and he's got something big on this jump. So we watched him practicing last night.
We'll look forward to that in run number 2. And just a little backflip for good measure. So it's going to be interesting to watch what Rheeder has to do. It's going to be a do or die situation on the second and final run for him. 2 runs, best run counts here in the finals at Red Bull Rampage. But started off, looked like it was going well, and just on that upper ridge section.
Slipped off the top there.
There it is,
Yeah.
the big bar spin, and it just looks like he got into the pit of sand, and actually looks like he might have went a little too big. But look at the style. This guy is so smooth looking and sweet on his bike. I think he's going to come back in the second run. You know, second rider, you're still nervous. These guys are young. This is a new game for them. I wouldn't count him out of the running yet.
Well, Rheeder, you can say a virtual newcomer. He's definitely been steadily making his mark in the past few years. Scores coming in for Rheeder. Right now, it is 35.25, so that's out of a possible 100. We are going to see scores up in the 70s and potentially 80s and 90s, so expect improvement. You're going to hear a recurring theme about all of these riders in the finals. Virtually all of them always see the tube half full or the glass half full. Always optimistic, and nothing could be truer when you're talking about our next rider, part of the coastal crew up on Vancouver Island. Kyle Norbraten, he is getting ready for his first of 2 runs.
Rider 33.
What can we expect to see from Kyle, Richie?
Well, you know, Pat, in the qualifications, he did a pretty big 360 off a drop high on the run. That gets scored higher because it's actually riskier when you take chances early on in the game, right? So Kyle's no stranger to going big. He's not a slope style rider, but he does have the tricks. So I think we're going to see a sick line and probably peppered again with a few tricks.
There's that good section that he just get a lot of speed, and then he just starts to turn it on this midsection.
Yeah, this line definitely gets faster and flowier as you get down, and then depending on the options you take, are you going to go into the gnar and creep down, or are you going to keep on trucking down the big, smooth, wide open centers?
There it is, the 3. And sticks the 3 on his first run of 2, gets a little offline. Can he get back in the flow?
This is a great run, Pat. He's doing it all, right?
Another 3!
Stomps it.
On point with the 360s on his first of 2 runs. I'll tell you what, I think we're going to have a new leader on this one.
Yeah, that's kind of a no-brainer.
Yeah, that's the wall ride last Rampage that basically decimated half of the pack.
You know, you want to talk about the evolution of this thing. Last year, that was the move, and these guys are stopping it like it's a dirt jump with the Whistler bike park.
Wow,
crazy.
Incredible. So 2 360s, and just with good measure. Oh, I'm just going to throw the wall ride, which is a massive gap. Talk about the technical aspect of making that. It's incredible.
Sorry.
He has to be elated. I mean, talk about a sigh of relief when you're staring down the barrel. A lot of these guys, they're saying, hey, if I get a great run, I'm not sure if I'm gonna go back for run number 2.
Well, you know, I was about to say, oh, he did that 360, and, you know, he he actually got the same run as qualifying, and then boom, in the end, we see another 360, and we see the huge transfer to the wall. Like, that jump is so high speed, so far with a small pocket landing, that he just made it look ridiculously easy, and it's an incredibly tough move. Let's watch it. Oh, here's the 3.
Oh, it's just, I mean, and to have the wherewithal, like you pointed out, to basically stick that and then boom, right back on the line.
And then you cap it off that wall ride. How is it going? Man, it's going great. I feel like that was the funnest thing I've ever done. All that connecting everything from the top was just insane. Like, for some reason I didn't really have that many nerves, but it was a fun line to ride, and I knew that. Oh, it just feels so good to be down here in one piece.
You're definitely elated. But talk to me. I mean, now going up for that second run, any other thoughts?
I don't know if I can do much better than that. Like, I just did everything I wanted to do.
All right, appreciate the honesty.
Thanks.
Well, I guess the lack of nerves are paying off for Kyle as he puts just a hammer, just riddled run 63.75, the new score to beat here in the first runs of 2 at the Red Bull Rampage finals.
That was, dude. Yeah. How good did that feel? That second 3 was so fun, so perfect. I over did the top one a bit, but I was able to ride it out. I'm so fired up. Huge! That was huge.
Yeah, he's coming down.
Can't believe it.
Strait coming up next. Literally almost and now he's so established. Straight's got
Coming in with so much speed.
You know,
So once again, a 63.75 possible judging calibration. If you're asking yourself, how does the judging work? Well, this is how.
Being a judge at Rampage can be very stressful, but it can also be very amazing because you got the best seat in the house to the biggest show on earth. So as far as mountain biking goes anyways. At Red Bull Rampage, you're looking for overall impression. We do have 4 categories, which are difficulty of line, air amplitude, control and fluidity, and tricks and style. So someone that can blend all 4 of those categories into one amazing run is something that we want to see. This is a big mountain comp, someone that uses the mountain to its fullest, shredding big lines, but then being able to throw some tricks in there as well. That sets apart the guys that do well here and the guys that do okay here. I say that this event has molded athletes into free riders because to do well here, you have to be able to ride a certain way. You have to have some of that World Cup style and speed, but then you have to have the free ride technical side to it as well. So it really is, you know, the biggest and best event on the Free Ride World Tour. They do it every 2 years, so they've had 2 years to push themselves. Last time it was a 360, you know, over a 50-foot step down. I'm really excited to see what's going to happen this weekend because I know it's going to blow everybody's mind.
Well, if there's any rider that knows how to take all those 4 categories and put it in the blender of benchmark making runs, it's our next rider. If you go back to 2004, he was a young rider coming onto the scene, and wow, did he turn heads. To be that young and put together a Rampage winning run, I think it says volumes about the burliness, the committed and just, I would say, forceful aspect of Kyle Strait. Nothing can be, you know, really I guess further said about what he can put into a run, Richie.
Well, you know, when you start at 15 years old and are exposed to something like this and you grow up with it, his level of confidence has got to be possibly the highest of anybody here, and he's got mad style. I mean, I think Kyle could be one of the dark horses here that could surprise everybody. He's got a very unique line that nobody else is doing, and like I said, his tables and his whips, and he's got so much style. I can't wait for this run.
You can see it all in his eyes. He's ready for his first run at Rampage.
Straight.
I love how he's going to dip off the ridge here, and he picks this line that's totally exposed, totally raw, and then he jumps into the more flowy stuff. It's so unique.
Really being methodical here, exactly where he needs to get, making sure he sticks that top part, and this is where it starts to turn up for Kyle Strait.
Did it affect you?
Yeah, this is his rugged, raw line. This is a knife edge we're looking at here with blind drops. He goes into the canyon, navigating his way around, and this is where it's going to start to get stylish from what I recall from practice. There you go.
Right there.
There it
Great.
is.
Great transfer for Strait.
Kyle's mad style.
Yeah.
I know he's got something lined up at the end of his run here that I don't think anybody else has hit.
And it's funny, you watch him come down in that canyon, he just seamlessly connected. Perfect linkage for Kyle Strait. First run of 2, you can see him going all the way over the other side of the course.
Keep your eyes open for this. This is a huge jump.
Yeah, the lower don't be deceived. Watch this. Big transfer, lands it. And all through practice, we were watching riders hit that section that is incredibly soft sand. I do not know how he made it out of that.
I asked him, I go, how are you going to land on that sand? He's like, I'm big and strong. I'll push through it. And he definitely pushed through it.
So Kyle Strait successfully navigates the top section of the course, and he was weary of, if he could stick that. It was one of those things where riders are trying things off the hip, off that quarter pipe, and then even off that straight kicker. But he has to be happy, at least one in the books out of 2.
Yeah, and he's experienced. He knows how this goes. I'm going to get out of the gate, do a good clean run, feel good about it, and we'll expect more from Kyle in the next run.
Woo. I wanted tops.
Definitely, you can see he's warming up,
And I just kept ripping around it. I was like, book it.
He's dropping into the canyon. Mad style, that's the signature move from Kyle Strait. He's got a little bit of a traverse after his last jump here, and here we go into the huge jump. Bam, you got wind, you got soft landing. What's going through his mind? Just push through this deep sand.
And keep your eyes on the tires as he connects. You can just see just how soft that is, and he just manhandles that.
I think his pedals hit the ground.
The burliness of Kyle Strait. Score to beat right now is a 63.75. As we wait for scores coming in on Kyle Strait, former champ. And he has been a power to force in the sport ever since he came on.
Downhill racing, dirt jumping, slope style. I mean, this is definitely a well-rounded rider.
Yeah,
He's done it all.
And if there's any event that calls on all abilities in every aspect of the sport, it is Red Bull Rampage. You need to have skills, every skill set on a bike, and this is where it all comes into play. So scores coming in at 65.75. Former champ Kyle Strait jumps to the top of the leaderboard for the moment. So still in the midst of the first of 2 runs, just a few riders taking those runs, and on top, former champ Kyle Strait, 65.75. Judges obviously rewarding, I should say, big mountain riding. If there's one rider in the 21 finalists that lives it, breathes it, dreams about it every day, it's this gentleman, Darren Berrecloth. He can put it all together. We watch his creative line, but it's going to be hard to see in this early light. If we can see him in this canyon, watch as he negotiates his way through this canyon. Very creative line choice.
This is absolutely the most technical, hanging it out there, gnarly line you can take on the mountain. Straight off the top, right into the fall line. He's going to be on a knife edge ridge here. If you fall here, you can start cartwheeling all the way to the bottom. This is a serious, serious line. He seems to be manhandling it like the pro he is.
And I'll tell you what we've seen so far, the judges rewarding Kyle Strait for that line. When you see something like this, navigates it perfectly.
This is where it gets, it changes for Darren. Now he's into a flow section, jumps, tricks. I mean, he's got so much variety in this line. Oh, no. Oh, no. He got offline. You got to wonder, is that shadow? Is that soft conditions?
And watching him in practice, he had a tough day at practice yesterday. He had spectators in the way, motorcycles in the way. A little off his line, but it definitely towards the end of it, he seemed like he was having a full pull, especially on that midsection.
So Darren is the true competitor he is. He'll take the rest of this run as a bit of practice, work out the bugs, and that's about where he hit the motorcycle last night.
Well, true to form, though, Darren's one of those riders that has no problem, whether it takes 1 or 2 rampages to work out a line that he has in his head. He's that creative type. I mean, it's what it fueled him to do the movie Where the Trail Ends. I mean, he lives and breathes this kind of stuff.
Unique line at the end here. This is his deal. I know he's got something big there, but we will not spoil that surprise. We'll see it when it comes in the next run.
So disappointment for Berrecloth on his first of 2 runs, and you have to think, what is he going to pull out? Obviously, because he knows that the judging, that the runs, that it's going to get that much higher coming towards the second runs of 2.
He made that top part look so easy. I sure hope they don't discount how ridiculously gnarly that top section of the course is called, as they're referring to it as the heart.
Yeah. And you can see at that top section, he had this perfectly.
I think this is the end of the course here. Just kind of working out the bugs on the last drop, but he's got a good trick off there, and he has a bit of a nemesis that he wants to pull there, and he may have to pull it out after this.
And that was the section you're talking about. I hope the judges realize just how vertical and how technical that is. Coming on the right side of that's beyond vertical.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I'd like to know what went wrong here. I mean, this was the section where it was the easy part of his run. He had a good trick planned.
All right, let's check in with Kenan, who's with Berrecloth.
All right, thanks, Todd. Thanks, Todd. All right, D, you are the elder statesman, and it's testament by the line you chose to come down here today at Rampage. Things didn't go as planned, I know that. What went wrong up in that midsection?
I kind of cased on one of the step downs. It was one of those things where I came in and a bunch of soft dirt ended up slowing me up. A bunch of photographers and videographers were all tromping all over the line, so it ended up slowing me down. And then I didn't get enough speed to clear the gap and just kind of went on the inside and rolled over some bushes.
All right, well, you roll over some bushes. Now you're looking towards that second run.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely hoping to have a good first run just so that I could lay it on the line on the second one, but looks like I'm going to have to just go for a pretty good run. Safe, but good one for the second one, so get her going.
So score coming in for Berrecloth, 53. We'll put him in 3rd place, but it's not even going to be close to hold as we go down the order.
Cheers, man.
Former champ Kyle Strait on top, still with that 65.75, albeit precarious, because he knows it's going to take a little bit more to take top honors at this year's Rampage, and someone that knows a thing or two about. And there's former champ Kyle Strait on top for the moment with that 65.75, albeit precarious, because he knows it's going to take a lot to take top honors at this year's Rampage. Someone that knows a thing or two about decisive wins and dominance is Brandon Semenuk. Here's his thoughts.
I think for this event, it's just kind of challenging myself and riding what I think is the hardest line I can ride, but doable within 2 runs.
So don't let the mellowness, the cadence of Semenuk fool you. He is a dominator. He's been doing it all season. A disappointment at Joyride. So he's looking for not only validation here, but let's talk about his focus, how long he's been out here working on the trails. The gap that you were going to see in his run, unbelievable.
Definitely the most focused competitor here, the most serious, and he takes this job more seriously than anyone, in my opinion. As you can see by where he drops in off the mountain. Look at this line. Just like Berrecloth, this is the gnarliest part of this course. You cannot make a mistake here, or you're going to have a ridiculously nasty fall. And here comes this gnarly jump. This is the biggest thing out there. Most commitment. And look at the charging, Pat.
Yep.
Here it comes.
Through that berm. Can he make the transfer?
Wow. He's riding this like it's a slope style course. This is unbelievable.
And definitely the rider's pick to take this in terms of how he has been looking in practice. He is completely on point.
And here you're going to see his slopestyle background, no-hander. Watch for this next section.
Oh, no! Of all the places for Semenuk to go down.
That was unquestionably the easiest part of his run. There is some kind of voodoo curse on this kid. The two biggest contests, the last one and this one, after coming off dominating the season, like handling it like he was on a different level.
Well, let's talk about that. I think most of the events he won on his first run, and then didn't do it
for his big line still. Wow.
You know what? Even with that fall, what we've seen, even with that fall, we could see a top score.
I guarantee he's still in the lead with that run.
But we're talking about his dominance early in the season. He's been winning events on the first run and not even taking a second run.
He's so focused and dialed this year that, you know, he was showing up at these events, riding the course, slopestyle courses, not practicing, or sorry, not doing his tricks in practice. And then in the run, first run comes out, bing, bang, boom, killing it.
I want to point out, it's great that he's stopping to have a little convo with Berrecloth, but
he does through the finish line.
He does want to cross the finish line. Oh my goodness. How big is this?
Let's have a look at this. This is what this is what everyone has talked about all week. Look at the work they put into it. They built a wall. You couldn't even get through there when we first arrived here, and this massive gap. And how tough and focused is this guy? He goes down, brushes himself off, and last night in practice, look at how simple of a fall this is. You know, for this guy, this is a no-foot can like that. Just a small mistake, you know?
It got a little caught up even before.
It almost looked like he was kind of thinking too far down the course, you know? And that's kind of the deal at Rampage. Every part counts because of the soft dirt, the sand, everything, something can take you out so unexpectedly. Yeah. I'm just thoroughly impressed that he got up from this and hits his last move, which is maybe another one of the top 3 moves in this whole course, when last night in practice he wasn't even hitting it.
Now you bring up a good point. I mean, the hardest part of that line was up top, and that's the kind of stuff you can usually phone in. So scores coming in for Semenuk, 63.25. So even with the fall, sitting in the top 3. One of the most charging, committed riders is none other than James Doerfling, and in qualifiers, he showed just how much it takes to even make it to the finals.
Just so intense up there, man, with the wind. And Kinraid went before me, and he was riding a pretty similar line, and he had a pretty bad crash on the Icon. So that made me like 10 times more nervous, but I just focused and didn't even look at the flags once I got to the Icon and sent it, and then it was just game on from there, man. I full tilt into the big transfer to the wall ride. Got some mad redemption, man. The past Rampage, I had some bad luck on the jump to wall ride, and I snapped my fork, so I was pretty much out after that. So, man, it just feels so good to stomp that thing. So stoked. From what I've heard, I'm sitting pretty good, so after that first run, so I think I'm just gonna sit back and watch and maybe have a beer or two. I think I deserve one. Dude, so stoked.
Well, you heard from him, you could tell, definitely pumped, but I think the true redemption is going to come right now in his first of 2 final runs. I always talk about like the weekend warrior aspect. I mean, that's why he's a fan favorite. He's the guy that is willing to take those chances, and he pulls out lightning in the bottle all the time. One of the most exciting riders, in my opinion.
I agree, Pat. I love how fast this guy rides and how he just, you know, he's committed. And you know what, at breakfast this morning, he looked like the most relaxed guy out of everybody I saw here. Look at this line, new line. Wow, totally committed. This is another, probably a 25 out of 25 line choice on that top section for sure.
And we've seen the judges rewarding lines just like this. I'll tell you, it's so difficult when you're looking at it head on just to tell how steep and technical
Nice.
Those
Flowing
lines are.
smoothly. That upper part was insane. That was the first time we've seen a rider go there and talk about exposed and gnarly.
Here he goes on the center, 50-foot plus. Sticks it, no problem. Doerfling.
Nice solid charge, hey Pat?
I'll tell you what,
looks like he's riding down A-line in the Whistler Bike Park.
He is looking on point. Yeah, 1,000 vertical feet, just firing down. Great speed, great flow. Here's that transfer.
His nemesis, nice, perfect.
Do my best.
And I'll tell you what, permission to speculate here, I wouldn't be surprised we see definitely in the top 3. It's going to be interesting to see how much they reward that top section. He navigated that. You can see he is pumped again. And rightfully so. What an amazing run. And that was sprinkled. It had the technical aspect up top. Let's not and the way to finish it on that wall ride, I mean, there was so much power and tech throughout that. Great run.
Absolutely. Super high line choice, charging flow, sun's out, guns out. I mean.
Yeah.
Here we go off the Oakley Center. Little style in there, just nails it perfectly. I mean,
first time we saw that too, 50-foot
right.
plus, not easy to navigate.
That's a huge error, and we saw some big crashes on that exact jump in qualifying. So the riders are saying for the size of the air, look at the hang time. You got to land right at the top, or you start to get into flats, and then you have other problems where you can get pitched over the front of the bike. And this air they're hitting it so smooth, it looks like nothing. Look at the speed. That's got to be 50 feet out and dropping 25 feet plus.
And speak to the difficulty of changing, having to just get that slight change of direction and have to land on that off camber. Not an easy thing, by no means.
Not an easy thing at all.
All right, so scores coming in for Doerfling. It's a first of 2 scores. We have a new leader, 70.50, James Doerfling. We send it down to Kenan, who's in the corral with James.
Thanks, guys. I'm with Doerfling right now. Now, you shook it up. That was a different line up top.
Yeah, man. Just for coming into finals, I didn't even know what I was going to ride, and then just switched it up. Yeah, I had a fully different top line and then into my same bottom qualies part. So.
You know, I was talking to a few of the guys earlier. They said you were the most relaxed at breakfast this morning. You still feeling pretty good?
I was just trying to stick to myself and, I don't know, trying to be calm, so, I don't know.
Well, nothing calm about your riding. That was a really big, you saw you crack your forks 2 years ago on that transfer, not today.
Not today, buddy. Redemption.
Good job.
Wow, so setting the tone early, I think we can expect things are just going to keep upping a tick, and that is the quintessential Rampage. That's what we've come to expect. So if you were a true free rider, this is the event you would choose to do, and that is the situation for our next rider up. Thomas Vanderham definitely takes that athletic approach to his training, to his mindset, and if you were going to pick one event, this is the one you'd want to pick, correct?
Well, this is the only event Vanderham does. I mean, he films and plays golf and plays soccer and plays hockey. He's a true jock, true athlete, and he always shows up whenever there's one of these. He lives for it, loves it, and this is his deal, so let's see what he's got.
First run of 2 for Vanderham, dropping in.
You know, you can expect Thomas to charge, you can expect big moto whips. He always picks a gnarly line, completely new line here, goat pathing his way down the mountain. Oh, again, same line as, looks like a similar line with an option to what Doerfling took.
And then kind of moving over to Ryder's right.
Nice fluidity.
Good speed, gotten that right. That's exactly, yep.
Here's his line. He's got a double drop here with like a toothpick landing. Nice. I was concerned about that when I looked at that path.
We stood up on top of that yesterday, and that secondary hit, you have to be perfect with the tap on the brakes.
His fluidity to me here is not insanely good, but here we're going to see some Vanderham signature on this hip jump.
Lower portion, sticks the landing off and that big transfer, able to make it just narrowly, right?
And he's coming into a super technical part of the course here. This step down, step up, no room for error.
Oh, just clips it. How close was that?
A little too close for me, buddy.
I can't wait to look back on that. And that is one where you just need that ultimate speed.
There
Here's
it is
the big
again. Wow.
just speaks volumes about the progression and the evolution of this event. Something that was the game changer that transferred to wall ride, and now we're seeing guys, I hate to say this, almost toy with it.
Yeah, multiple riders in a row. I do have to say the top of Vanderham's run for him was a little slow, not so fluid. He looked kind of hesitant.
I'd say slightly cautious. You pointed out on that first double, you know, that where he had to come in, it was a quick just tap, and then it was about a 15 to 20 foot drop. He seemed a little hesitant.
But he brought it at the end.
Oh, that's... I mean, you talk about a tough job to judge this, the variety of runs. You see the guys that have that focus, that real big mountain free ride aspect, and then the guys tricking the lower sets.
Seeing you guys at the bottom.
So the first rider we saw hit the lower line on the Oakley Sender.
This is a new option this year for the Sender. You know, maybe not the, don't reveal it, but that's a huge air, and then into his hip. And I know from practice, this isn't as good as he hit it in practice. He was going about 15, 20 feet further, so we can expect that in the next run.
After that,
And you mentioned it's that secondary option. I mean, I think we'll see a couple of the other guys, the other competitors, maybe trick off this as well.
It's possible, but I mean, look at the amplitude he gets off this. You know he's getting a high amplitude score because he's got a couple of huge jumps in his run. And this is one you can pick. You want to go big, you want to go small. He went huge.
And it should be pointed out that line, that transfer line that he built, a little bit higher than another competitor, right?
Yeah, but he didn't quite make it.
Yeah.
So I think the next run we're going to see more out of Thomas.
So scores coming in for Vanderham, 66 point even, so that'll put him in second place for the moment. We do not expect that to hold because, as we pointed out, things just keep getting that much more technical and progressive as we move through the first runs of two.
Thanks, man.
So the current standings look like this at the 2012 Red Bull Rampage Finals. On top, James Doerfling, a 70.5, threw down a blistering run. We just saw Vanderham go with his first two. Kyle Strait rounding out the top three. But we just keep hammering this point home. It seems like the riders are just realizing what the judges are looking for. They're making adjustments. We saw that from Doerfling here. He's our current leader. So our next rider up, interesting story about him. Where he lives in San Diego, no riding. He actually hasn't ridden in 4 months before coming to Rampage. I was talking to him and he said, here's the deal. We do have trails, but they're illegal and they booby trap the trails. We can't ride them. And I said, no booby traps at Red Bull Rampage. You're free to go. So watch Wil White as he drops in on his first two. An amazing young talent.
Check out the shot. It really gives you a feel of where you are and that you're on top of the knife edge of a mountain. I mean, this is like the real deal.
And we walked that ridge. I can't even believe that they can fit the handlebar, just the width of that. You can barely walk that ridge.
I remember saying to you, you have to lean your bike to not scrape your bars against the thing.
And he's going to an interesting section of the course here. Rider's right. There's some great lines as he approaches. First little air time for him.
Double drop. This is his first big air. Beautifully executed.
Great style and able to hold on, traverse across. He also is going to be approaching the Oakley Sender.
50-foot drop. Wow, nice style.
I'd add a couple feet on that, got some distance. So Wil White putting it together.
Nice, he's got good style. The hair flowing out of the back of the helmet.
Oh, got a little buck there, right on the knuckle of that table. Forcing him to pedal over towards the knob section. He's going to approach a new feature to the Rampage this year. Gap to quarter pipe. Let's see what he has. Keeps it pretty standard, but a clean run. I mean, you talk about what he had to just accomplish to get to those features on the middle section and the lower section. Some great navigating skills for sure.
Yeah, solid run for Wil White. Wil White, excuse me. He's here, he's having fun, and he's throwing down what he's got.
Okay.
How's that?
Definitely happy with that one, felt good.
And one of the younger riders at 18 years old having no problem going 50-foot plus.
And I would say that's the best execution of the Oakley Sender we've seen. you know, looked like a dirt jump in his backyard the way he handled it. Very, very well done. You can see on the takeoff there they have rocks because they can't necessarily see exactly where they want to go until they're in the air, so they give themselves little guidelines. And obviously it worked. He landed perfectly.
I'm giving him a double high five. He adds a little style in every jump, and you know, we're not seeing that from every rider.
Would that be a high 10?
High 10, it would be, double 10. So
I think we expect to see a lot of exciting action off that quarter pipe a little later in the game here when we see some of the other riders.
But definitely a creative way to make use of that lower flat section. And it's funny, you know, as we here in the finals, earlier in the week watching these guys at practice and qualifiers on these features, definitely working out the kinks. We saw a lot of riders go down just on a simple quarter pipe transfer. And now we take it for granted. Now we, you know, you get kind of teased, and you're like, you want the progression, you want the tricks. So scores coming in for Wil White, 60 even, only good enough for 6th place. So he'll look to improve on his second, and we expect many more great things out of him. A packed house here in Virgin, Utah, and I think it's safe to say the riders are over-delivering when it comes to the progression. We've seen a few riders jump off that Oakley Sender. For more on that, we check in with Ken and Harkin.
Thanks a lot, guys. Now, I normally don't suffer from a fear of heights, but I'm honestly feeling a sense of vertigo right now. I'm standing on the Oakley Icon Sender, and this is a gnarly man-made feature. Plenty of natural terrain here, but they like to pepper this throughout the course, and this is one of the first ones we're going to show you. It's become an icon of sorts for Rampage. Now, let me explain something to you. 50 to 55 feet to hit that sweet spot of the landing. Too far forward, your suspension is going to compress and you're going to get bucked off the bike. Not enough speed, you're not even going to hit that landing. And I don't have to be a genius to tell you this, that would be catastrophic.
Thanks, Ken. And yeah, it definitely puts it into perspective just how technical and how big that drop is. Sometimes you really can't tell from standing in the front of it, but it's impressive to say the least. Our next rider up, out of France, a rider who really is going to attack this course with his best friend, and that is speed. And you got to ask the question, can speed outweigh the creativity, the lines, and the progression that we saw from Doerfling? Well, Antoine Bizet is going to try to say, yes, absolutely, or
Rider 19.
we. I'll tell you what, watching him, he takes such a fast and furious approach to this course. Watch this.
Different line off the top.
Just having to stall up right there.
There we go. He's into the gnar.
Oh no! And Bizet goes down.
And there you go. You can see how steep the terrain is there. That was a ski crash.
And Bizet tomahawking his way down, and that is great to see.
Wow.
The rider standing up. As you pointed out, it's deceptive. You see these riders go down, we take it for granted. They're threading these insane lines, and the fact that he was tomahawking, and you just saw how much dust was kicked up. It was like this reveal.
I'm just happy, Pat, that he actually did stop, and his bike stopped, because we saw a crash there the other day, and the bike went half the course cartwheeling down. That's how steep it is.
So unfortunate for Bizet on his first of 2 runs. It's just like a debris field when you look at the dust, but it gives you great perspective on how steep this course is.
And you get a good look at how much rock there is there.
You know, this is my 3rd Rampage coming to as a spectator, and it's one of these things I try to impress upon all people. I'm like, this is the one event you have to see in person. You have to walk the course and feel how insane, how unbelievable the gaps and how steep some of these lines are.
And as you can see right there, right, we haven't even talked about that, how there's no chairlift here. There's no road up the back. These guys have to scale the mountain with their bikes on their shoulders.
There's no T-Bar Poma Express.
So, you know, your part of your physical ability is not just riding the bike, it's actually being able to climb a mountain with your bike.
But obviously, I mean, these type of conditions, this steepness, it's something he's used to when you talk about where he grew up riding.
Let's take a look at what happened here. I mean, he's in the gnarliest part of the course, so he's clearly picking his way through. And right there, it looks like he got bucked and caught something with his front wheel, and fortunately stopped rolling.
Yeah, you can definitely have a yard sale. I mean, you do not want a tomahawk in the wrong spot here.
Small errors, but where you are, that's a huge error. It almost looks like he got offline and kind of bailed. Maybe it was an intentional pull the ejection cord.
So Antoine Bizet finishing out his run despite the fall. Not sure if he's going to bring it all the way to the bottom. We point out these riders, it is not a timed event, but they do have 4 minutes to finish that run. If they can finish it within that, it will be a scored run. But a lot of the riders, sometimes even after that time lapses, they'll go through the last half of their run just to get the practice. It looks like he's waving it off. So that will do it for Antoine Bizet on his first of 2. He'll focus on his last run. So still in the midst of the first of 2 runs, and the current standings look like this. James Doerfling holding on to that top spot with a 70.5, followed by Thomas Vanderham and Kyle Strait rounding out the top 3. And I'll tell you what, we're only halfway through the first of 2 runs. We've already had some amazing, memorable moments. And Richie, I'm sure you have a few of your own as we look back.
2002 Super T Tyler Clausen drops into this huge air that no one thought was possible, almost goes over the bars, but rides away.
And we just keep collecting moments like that. Like I said, I already have a handful of riders that they've sprinkled so many incredible moments in their runs. And if anyone could have a banger part on his first of 2 runs, it's this gentleman right here.
Rider 5.
Geoff Gulevich.
Geoff Gulevich. 3, 2, 1.
Here we go.
Gully dropping.
Geoff looked pretty comfortable at breakfast this morning too. He's charging, he's on it. He hit the Oakley Center last night like it was not the first time and definitely not the last time.
Here's that transfer, that goat trail.
And I think he's going to drop in now. This is another high line score. He's
close to Nico Vink's
into the fall line, handling it perfectly.
You can see, I mean, there's so many
great
lines.
Speed. Little style from Geoff there. Ooh.
No, still on line. Here he goes on the ridge. That was the one.
It's a nice fluid line he's got going on there. Slowing up as he approaches the Oakley Center. Hey, a little extra drop into it.
Love that. Goalie sticks the center as well.
That's the kind of thing the judges love. He just threw a little extra flare into the top by not rolling in. He airs in. We can see a trick from Gully here. His moto whip.
And that was that hip that a lot of people just had problems clearing. He's at amazing speed on the lower section.
Opting for the quarter pipe line. Nice style. He's going to take a safe run out. So you see the soft dirt there. He almost went over. Right at the end of your run. A little mini backflip. just to say, hey, I can do a trick too.
Yeah, when we were talking to the judges, like, listen, the flip off, you know, the curb on the bottom isn't going to really reflect, but it's great showmanship is what it is.
It's great showmanship.
Yeah.
That was a really solid run.
I'll tell you what's great to see, this many stand-up full poles.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and we've seen a lot of crashing in history, and these guys, they're obviously riding at a way, way higher level than in the past.
And can we point out that you started to reference it, but that the Oakley sender is becoming common.
Yeah.
Those kind of, you know what I mean?
Yeah. But look at how he approaches it.
Yeah, he had that little air on the top section.
I mean, you can tell. You see how much style and flair these guys throw into it, and when a rider like this doesn't style it up too much, is because it's a very serious air.
And we point out new to the course, this Rampage.
And you know, referring to the conditions, watch how close he comes to going down here, but he just muscles through it. There's so many different variables in this terrain, like sand, boom.
Like, yeah, you just had the run of your life, and then you're gonna fall on this
or that.
right there, for a little step off. Lots of dirt snakes.
It's a little
in the lower
bushy
half.
out there,
Yeah.
a little bushy.
I just smelled it out. I was like, ah,
So,
shit.
Gulevich, his first run of 2. Score to beat, that's 70.5 by Doerfling. And as I pointed out, we're just a little over halfway through the first of 2 runs. All these competitors, 2 runs, best run counts. Judges looking for that line choice, the fluidity, the control, the tricks in the style, and the amplitude, the height. How high these guys are boosting on those kickers.
Too much for doing that stupid flip as a joke.
And I'll tell you what's really impressive is just that the matrix of NARS that we're calling it, the amount of lines that these guys have to choose from. And scores coming in right there, 59, only good enough for 7th place. So Gulevich will look towards his second run as Doerfling still holding on to the top spot. So earlier I was talking to Travis Chipper. He's basically the Swiss Army knife, if you will, of giant bicycles. For our next competitor, Giant sponsors Kurt Sorge. He said Kurt was out here, it's almost like Christmas morning. So excited, up so early, like he's gonna open presents. But the difference is, the presents that he's about to unleash are incredible. Amazing gaps. He's been out here all week devising a line to set himself apart from the other competitors. Watch the creativity on this first of 2 runs from Sorge.
He's easing into his run here, but we know Kurt has incredibly large cojones. And here we go. New line off the top.
This is where it starts to get interesting. No-hander, yes. Sorge.
I look to see this guy on the podium. I think he's so sick, mad style. Similar line to what we saw Vanderham do, but a different option. Nice style.
Great transfer, great speed. How's he gonna finish it here on the center? Sorge has so much ability to throw a little extra mix there. Gets a little English on that.
No foot can. He's putting together a full run here, Pat. I mean, and he looks solid. Not a bobble.
And the first time, yep, backflip, able to hold on, still maintain on the line. A little offline on that.
Oh no,
this is the
nice.
Still able to make that through.
I think he cased a little there, and it messed him up. But how about the backflip?
First time we've seen someone go upside down this morning. We expect to see a little more of that. And I'm interested to see if he has a little more speed, if he's going to throw the transfer in that. We know that he has that amazing transfer.
It almost looked like that was a bobble, but what a competitor. He recovered from the bobble. I wouldn't even have noticed.
Cat-like awareness.
But let's talk about the fact that that was a backflip off a 25-foot cliff.
Yeah, and let's not forget the no-hander up top. I mean, just the sheer steepness to throw a no-hander, to have the wherewithal. Gosh. Tell you what, Kurt Sorge definitely delivering on his first of 2 runs. And I like his approach up top, keeping that high line and then coming in across, but looking back on the sender.
Nice style. It's so hard to calculate how much speed you need on these things. And you know, it's a hard landing, so he wants to make sure that he doesn't screw up on something that he can't finish his run. Nice no-foot can-can.
Really took advantage of all those hits at the bottom.
Let's have a look at how big this backflip is.
Wow, that gives you a great perspective just how blind, right?
It's, yeah. Here we go again, another look.
Complete.
You can see the body English. You got to figure out when to extend, when to hold, because you don't want to over-rotate it, and he lands it perfectly.
Completely committed. Kurt Sorge on the first of 2 runs. Unbelievable run. Scores coming in for Kurt Sorge. There we are. We have a new leader, 82. Yeah. Kurt Sorge. We send it over to Cannon.
Kurt, you are the new leader, top to bottom. You chocked that run full of everything. I mean, talk to me about how you picked that line. You had the suicide no-hander in there way at the top.
Yeah, I wanted to pick like a tech line up top and then go into some of the big drops and jumps at the bottom, and hadn't really tricked too much, and I just wanted to throw them down in my run.
And you definitely did. Now, one that really got my attention was the backflip down, the step down. Explain to people out there just how difficult it is when you're doing a step down and then throwing in a backflip.
Yeah, like there's takeoffs up close, and this one's way set back and with a big kicker, so, and the landing's not very smooth, so it's a lot more difficult, and it's super blind.
Yeah, exactly, blind. That's what I was going for. He just did an amazing leap of faith. It looks like the early arrival here in the digging paid off for you.
Yeah, I showed up at the beginning of the week. People are here even earlier, but yeah, stoked to get my line built and get her done.
Thanks, Kurt.
Yeah, get her done, Sorge, and you just did that. 82. That is the new score to beat as we march onward and forward here in the finals. So Kurt Sorge on top. That's the new one to beat, and what a decisive difference. Almost 12 points ahead of James Doerfling. So that is what it's going to take now to take top honors. Unbelievable. So we've seen incredible runs so far. And let's talk about Logan here. As a rider that approaches this type of terrain, he definitely tends to mix a variety, a background of everything into this run.
Well, Logan's a racer, right? And I think last year he showed up the first time. No one really knew what to expect from him. And he's back, and he's been racing and, you know, killing it. A little sketchy on the top there. These guys know that if they throw a little extra flair into everything, there's the bar scraper, that they can actually earn more points, but it's the lines, and here we go, he's jumping into a gnarly line again.
And you'll see a lot of these riders, they'll take sections of other people's lines and then weave it back into the line that they've chosen.
There's more lines in here than a Hollywood script this year, so it's easy to get confused and lost, I think. Nice! Awesome.
Able to hold on, gets awesome. Right back. Great adjustment.
Just before I hit the Oakley Center, I'll do a huge backflip. Beautiful. He added another 10 feet to that. No hander. Wow. Binggeli is really bringing it. He's bringing it to town here. I don't know, Pat. This is pretty sick. What's he got at the bottom?
There's that huge transfer.
Perfect.
The third rider to stick that. And as we pointed out, how happy is he?
He hasn't even finished, but he's given the double fist pump.
And he's definitely feeling the gladiator-esque atmosphere right now. You can see all these fans. It's no easy task to get out to this. And that's it is a natural amphitheater. And so many fans packing it in and feeling the energy on a great first run of 2.
How about that run? I mean, we're seeing the level creep up here now, or actually maybe not creep up, but launch forward.
Yeah,
that's a full run. It's gnarly line, great tricks, charging, and some variety and style.
Let me pose this question: as a competitor, when you see a handful of competitors do full pulls and have great runs, does it give you a little extra confidence? Like, yeah, everyone's doing this, and so can I.
I would have to agree, and you know that you need to ramp it up, because the guy before you just threw down a line and jumped into the lead. So you're like, well, anywhere I can put some more flair into my run or charge a little faster and not break, as you see here. He's trying to get some style out of everything. And you know, we discussed earlier with the judges, when you do a trick high up on the course in an exposed area, you're taking more of a chance because you can possibly make a mistake and kill your run, where at the end, well, you already laid down a good run. It doesn't seem as consequential. But he's charging in here, you know. This has got to be a well above 20 line, fluidity, great style. And then just to top it off, we'll throw in a giant backflip.
Yeah. And great, you talk about the creativity of that line. I love that upper section, how he weaves his way back to hit this.
Yeah, that was beautiful. That's a substantial gap in the middle of your run. And boom, you got to land, and then you go into the hugest drop of your run. And
well, you said.
Yeah.
So you said he was ramping it up. He just ramped up the John, 77.25, second place. Yeah. Unbelievable.
That was awesome. There's a happy camper.
All smiles for current leader Kurt Sorge. We were talking about how much work he put into making his line and coming out here early to work on it. And Andreu Lacondeguy, he's another rider who's going to be up next. He knows a thing or two about putting time in and how important it is here at Red Bull Rampage. Let's hear from him.
I think the building. I think that like building process here is the most important thing. You know, like everyone is going to be. Well, we're actually going to see it tomorrow that like the guys who put more time in their lines are the ones who are going to place better. So I learned that digging and building is really important up here.
I'll tell you what, Richie, these guys are all Da Vinci's of dirt in their own right, and it's interesting watching this guy the past week, and I'll say the past 2 years, his confidence, and we watched him in practice. How forceful and confident does he look?
He's one of my top picks, unquestionably. Watch how he charges this course. It looks like he's just riding down his local trail. And that was what he said. He said, I don't want to slow down. I want to do whatever I can do to just charge it the same speed top to bottom. I want to be the fastest guy down the course.
And this is my favorite section of his line. Watch how he weaves this right through there.
Some blind airs. He's got the sickest style out there.
Look at that.
Look at the speed and conviction here.
I mean, he just motos it. And
nice backflip.
Same section we just saw from Logan.
He hasn't hit the Oakley Sender yet in practice. This is his first time because he doesn't particularly like it, but he thinks it matches his line perfectly.
And he does it. Wasn't sure. You saw him checking that speed.
And this is the middle of that run, he has not practiced yet.
Should point out,
huge backflip.
Cases it, but able to roll out. Lacondeguy, I'm telling you right now, so on point. And can we bring up the speed factor? How much faster he was going than some of the other riders on that top section.
If you can be there live and stand at the top of that course and see what he just rode down and the speed he rode down it at, you know, we were standing there. It seemed like it was. You couldn't even put it into perspective.
It feels like you're watching Villapoto, you know, rip through a supercross like triple section.
Yeah.
That's the speed that he rides at. And you know, there's a lot of people that said, you know, when he started to get into like the real big mountain stuff, you know, maybe not his specialty, but he has grown and he has literally made it his own, and he's put his own style on it.
Do it on the flip.
That's like where the trail ends. Style.
Oh yeah, some water would be.
You just have to wait.
Oh, that case, dude. No. Yeah, little case though.
Okay. So the Spaniard just slaying it on his first of two. There were so many moments. We had to like whittle it down though.
I love this backflip, but I can't get over what he did at the top of the course. And again, this is his first time this year hitting this jump. He doesn't like it, so he didn't want to practice it, but he so desperately wanted to get to the next jump to do a mad trick. So you know that after he's gotten this one under his belt, next time we're going to see something totally spectacular off this.
Well, as we keep pointing out, a rider that just continues to improve. And wow, never been on the podium at Red Bull Rampage, but for the moment, he is third place for Lacondeguy. Wow.
Awesome.
And we're seeing some shockers here. I think obviously we knew any of these guys could take it, but we're seeing some interesting riders rise to the occasion and really deliver when they need it most. And Ramon Hunziker, the Swiss rider,
rookie.
Think about that. Think about that. Everything you've seen gone down, what is he thinking right now?
You know, I'd have to bet that one of the thoughts going through his mind is, I can't believe here I'm riding with all my heroes. He must be thinking that. And I was pretty surprised. He's chopped out quite a crafty line at the top here. He had his Swiss buddies there helping him out. René Wildheimer, you know, Mega Avalanche winner helping him build this line.
Similar to Nico Vink's line, and watch.
I love how raw this line is. Yeah. Totally dropping in, haggard raw.
That's not even carved out, we should point out.
Nice.
That midsection, completely natural.
He's charging. Nice hipper, good style. And does he opt for the Oakley Sender here also?
He does.
This is probably the biggest air this guy has ever hit in his life.
Wow.
Beautiful.
Clean, stomped landing. Transfers all the way over to the other side. What is he gonna, has that one drop, makes that as well.
Down. Nice table. He's putting together a really solid run here. You know, he's a rookie. He's making it down the course. He's getting some style, taking some huge airs. This is a nice run for him.
And Basic there off the quarter pipe. Yeah, rookie, but riding like a grizzled veteran up top. You have to respect that line that he did. We saw them yesterday. Nico Vink was working on a similar line, but in between where we saw him come off the goat trail, nothing has been manicured. That's basically raw, like raw mountain in between two trails, and he just flew through that.
And that's pretty cool. A lot of talk about the European guys as they're dirt jumpers and slope stylers. And, you know, I got the feeling from him yesterday that he likes the raw lines, and that's his style. So that's why he built that line and went for that style.
And this is the area we were talking about. Look at the control and the finesse.
There's not a serious path into it like a lot of the other riders built. So this is quite raw, quite haggard, which you got to know from walking around there. And I know from riding this before, it's more difficult. If you have a perfect trail built, you're cruising down it. He threaded together a really nice natural line and a nice big jump in the middle.
And it's shocking to think that this is becoming commonplace.
I know the center. Yeah, the 50-foot drop. It's whatever. He just hit it again. And it's so awesome to see these guys get style off it. The rookie, right? Throwing style in right away. We saw some of the wily veterans go off it a little stiff.
Yeah, well, I mean, Kinray, too, definitely paid the price.
I bet he feels stiff right now.
Yeah, went down hard in qualifiers off the center and just kind of illustrated just how difficult that jump is. And then on the lower half,
sweet table whip.
Nice pop off that.
I think we're going to see more from this guy in years to come. Even in Switzerland, they do the shaka.
62.50. So Hunziker hanging loose in 9th place. This is the terra firma you dream about. Incredible terrain here in Virgin, Utah, and it makes the Red Bull Rampage the perfect place, especially when you talk about the soil.
Thanks, guys. The soil here in southern Utah is legendary amongst the mountain bike community, and that's because it's pretty forgiving. Now, not when they start up top. That's pure rock, very dangerous. But if they make it down to the midsection, where some of these very big gaps are, we're talking 70-foot gaps, if they make a mistake, it's okay because the soil, it's got a fine crust layer like this. And once you break through it, it just gets pulverized and turns into dust. Now, the soil here has been around since the Triassic, so that's pretty impressive. We're talking the beginning of the dinosaurs, folks. But if you look down at the bottom, this stuff is a loamy, fine silt, clay, and sand mixture. And let's just hope when you go down in this, you don't turn into a fossil. It's very forgiving.
Yeah, it's a curse, a blessing, and a curse, I should say, in the same breath. I mean, you want that soft, landing, but sometimes it can come out and bite your tire, right?
I agree exactly, Pat. You know, if you fall there, you want to find the cushion, but you don't want to be riding down and you find it with your front wheel and it turns you into a fall.
It's the cushion pushing quandary, as we call it.
Exactly.
And we made reference to Nico Vink. I was talking to him earlier, and he says, you know, I feel good about what I built up there. You saw them working there, and he's like, no, I kind of ironed it out.
Another rookie to the Rampage, but definitely not a rookie to the bike riding scene. This guy's been in the World Cup scene for a long time, and he's no stranger to going fast and going big. And he's picked himself quite a technical line off the top here. Look at this.
Yeah, you'll find he's going to try to thread that natural terrain as well. He's just out there.
Wow.
He's only worked on those areas in between, completely raw as he gets over.
Awesome line.
Yeah.
We've seen so far in the scores that line choice is massive here.
They're really rewarding.
Now he starts charging.
Yeah, they're really rewarding the natural terrain and that creativity on the line choice.
I think he could be a bit of a dark horse here. Look at the speed, you know, downhillers, they go fast. Oh, he's got a different approach to this Oakley Center area. He likes the natural stuff. Here we go. This is another new line of his, sending it in there.
It actually sets him up. Still has enough speed for that transfer.
Racer style, throwing his bike around like it's manhandling it.
Wow.
Yeah, big moto whip.
Yeah.
He's charging.
Yeah. So it begs the question, you know, obviously seamlessly threaded all that stuff up top, and then he brings it down to the bottom here. Almost gets great distance, I should say, off the quarter pipe, but does it take more than that? Are you expecting at least a flip or at least one trick when guys start to have success on a similar section? I think the judges would be looking for something more.
Absolutely, Pat. I think that's what we're seeing unfold here that we didn't see in the qualification, is that was a solid run. Obviously a top line choice run. I think to be top 3 at the end of this day, I would want to see some flips or spins compared to what some of the other riders have.
Yeah.
But check out the exposure and how he hangs himself out here. This could be top section. This could be actually the gnarliest line we've seen on the top.
Doesn't have to be a
Yeah, I mean, we actually saw just how vertical it was, I think, with Bizet in that area when he started falling.
Absolutely. You're on a little goat path on the face of a cliff and you hit a double.
If you stand up and put your elbow out, your elbow's touching at that point.
I like how he's a lot of variety in his run, and I like how he took this option line. This is really cool. This is the kind of thing in this event that historically has proven to score you higher. If you can go just your own little flair, you definitely score higher.
Well, it brings up the discussion too. A lot of riders are saying, you know, there is a set of riders that like natural only, they don't want to see the features, even though they will use them.
Exactly. We're gonna, we got to say here about this is like, he's got style off every single thing he's done. So he may not have a big bag of tricks, but that category, tricks and style, are together. So we might not even be realizing that he's killing it with style right here.
And we have seen the judges reward that sometimes intangible quality, style so important in the sport, as we check in with Kenan, who's with Nico.
All right, Nico, incredible run up top. Now, does that racing background help you, because you're really sending it up there?
Yeah, it does. It's like basic riding skill, I guess. Like racing, you just need to go fast, and on this it's different. You need to hold back, because if you go too fast, you go off. But it helps.
And you know, the guys in the booth were talking about the way you chose that line. It looked like the most difficult line on top today. Do you feel that way? How did you come up with that line?
Honestly, I've built another line, and I didn't really like the flow of it. So that's kind of Thomas's start, and I asked Thomas Vanderham, like, can I use your like begin bait? And he said, yeah, that's cool, no worries, as long you don't take the full line. So I did that. So my rolling is kind of Thomas's line, and then I just mix it up with something we build and what I like.
Very good. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, no worries.
So Nico Vink taking a little bit of Vanderham's line there. I'm just going to propose this to the riders, Richie. If he wins the $21,000 for first place, I think Vanderham should get a cut. He definitely should get a cut. So current standings, Kurt Sorge still on top with that 82. And we see Lacondeguy, he bumped Doerfling. We thought Doerfling was going to hold on to that top spot. Bumped him out of the top 3, but things just continue to get interesting here in the first runs of 2 at the 2012 Red Bull Rampage. So it turns out it takes so much of everything that you've ever learned in the sport of riding to sit on top of the standings at Red Bull Rampage. And Pierre Edouard Ferry knows he's going to have to channel everything he's ever learned. We watched him in practice, and gosh, did he look so comfortable, especially on the top section. What would he have to sprinkle? We know about there's 2 sections where he's throwing in a little bit bigger of a gap, but I would see right now he'd have to add more to that.
Well, I know Pierre's got a lot of tricks in his bag, but I haven't really seen much from him out here, and I don't know if it's because it's first time go at the Rampage, or if he's just saving it until he actually does his final run here. But you know, he's cruising into the other side of the course, and he's dropping into a serious part of his line. He's a solid rider. This guy, he's from France. He rides the big mountains. He does slope style. He can be a contender here.
Just slowly, methodically working his way across, really taking his time. He's definitely going a little bit faster yesterday. It seems slightly tentative.
He sure does,
yeah.
Pat. Now we're seeing a new option, the other side of the course.
This is what I'm really looking forward to. He's got 2 sections here. Not an easy thing to navigate. Watch this. Look at the side. Look at the...
You can see where you are, but that's the kind of thing that kills your score.
Yeah, but you have to land that perfectly so you can get that.
Great new line, though.
Yeah.
Awesome. He's really picking a different creative line, cruising all over the hill.
But just kind of a little bit of start and stop, not the rhythm and the flow that we saw from him in practice.
And you definitely take a chance when you're crossing over and stuff like that, because you're kind of killing your fluidity, right?
But that, you know, that's the deceiving thing when you
no-hander.
You see those tight shots when they're billy goated up in those those cliff bands, but then you pull back and you see, had he not landed that perfectly, he would have gone down off a 20-foot cliff.
The consequences could be high. So yeah, it's always a consideration factor that you're in the steep gnarly lines and you go for the line score, and I guess the judges, well, they take your fluidity for the situation.
And he wouldn't be the first rider to really try to mix up his run. Maybe it didn't go according to plan. I think we can assume that. But going off the line that we saw him practicing, there was a couple of new approaches there. He took a shorter line over. So perhaps feeling it out for run number 2.
I sure hope so. I sure hope so.
I mean, watching him in practice, so much faster.
Let's take a look at what he did here.
So if you don't stick that,
you fall off a cliff.
Right, but yeah, I mean, you really have to.
If you don't stick that, you fall off another cliff. Yeah, he's got a nice fast part of the course compared to his upper slow technical part. Some nice style there.
I mean, permission to be critical. I mean, there was parts of it where it seems like he was just making his way down.
I would have to agree that we need to see more from Pierre on the next run. I know what he's capable of.
Yeah, so scores coming in for Pierre Edouard Ferry. 51.50, only good enough for 14th for the moment. So the Red Bull Rampage title and the overall bragging rights isn't the only thing up for grabs here today. Let's take into account that this is a premier stop, a top-tier stop, and it's basically all going to culminate for the FMB World title. And you see the standings coming into this last and final event. Semenuk on top, but followed by Martin Söderström. And depending on who finishes ahead of the other person, it could definitely spell out who gets the FMB World title here today at Red Bull Rampage. So it's an interesting thing, you know, 2 titles at stake, 2 gentlemen battling for that, and we saw Semenuk have problems on his first of 2 runs. The question is, can Söderström put it together on his first of 2, and if Semenuk comes back and does the run we know he's capable of, can it beat Söderström?
Well, there's no question whatsoever that Söderström is the underdog here. This is so new for him. He's known as a slopestyle guy, street guy. You can see in his run that he's definitely a little bit out of his comfort zone. He's trying to piece together what he knows best, but he does not own this like Semenuk does. But the Swedish kid is very talented. He may surprise us.
Here we go, run number 1 of 2. Navigating that razorback ridge off to Rheeder's right, trying to really work his way all the way across. We noticed just how narrow that trail is right there. Makes it look so easy.
And this is a guy that doesn't spend an awful lot of time on a downhill bike, so you know his absolute comfort zone is not here with his bike, with the terrain, so it's all new to him, and it's pretty cool. I spent a little time with him building his line, working on his line, and seeing his attitude toward it all, and you can see what mad style he has.
Yeah, for a lanky guy, definitely takes that height and really compacts it down. Not an easy feat on a mountain bike, and takes that lower portion of the Oakley Sender. And watch this transfer just a little bit on the lower section.
Nice style. He's coming into his step down, step up. He's the one that guinea pigged the step up here.
Just makes it. We saw him in practice narrowly almost fall on the backside of that little no-hander.
I know he really wanted to get a 360 off that, but it's quite a struggle for him on the big bike.
Oh, there it is! Oh, and Söderström goes down.
Unfortunate for Martin. That was a solid run for him. That was great.
Just hammers home how many components it takes to have a stand-up run here at Red Bull Rampage. And don't be deceived. Even these smaller hits on the bottom, they can hurt just as bad, if not worse, than taking a digger up top. You can see obviously rattled by that fall. You hate to see that after such a beautiful run. Just seamless on that top section and visibly rattled. So looking back at the lower portion of that Oakley Sender.
He's coming into the option line on the Oakley Sender here. This is not typical for him to have to, you know, fly off a huge drop and land in the sand. It's not a prepared slopestyle course. He handled it quite well. I know yesterday the step up, he had built it, and then Vanderham came and jumped over his landing, and it looks to me like he anteed up and actually made it to Vanderham's landing, which is, you know, this is a whole learning game for Martin this week. And here we go. Yeah. This is where it kind of went south for him. Not even totally sure if he practiced this move. I know he hit the jump several times, but I think this may be the first time he actually attempted it. And it looks like he just hit some soft stuff, little off the line, but it's the curse of the sand in the virgin desert.
And you know, up to this point, it looked like he would definitely challenge Semenuk for that FMB title. And yeah, got on that back tire and just kept that rotation going. And that's a hard thing.
That was a worthy run.
Yeah, to stop the rotation. So visibly disappointed Söderström. Even with the fall, though, you have to reward what he was able to accomplish on the top section of that course. It was that last hit that gave him problems. And a disappointing 50.25, the judges being awfully critical on Söderström. He'll have to improve on his final run. Okay. Do you want might throw this be real general? Let Kenan go and much focus is put on our defending champion, but unfortunate circumstances yesterday. And just for an update. Right now it doesn't hurt. Do you want the toss on this?
Double hat, I like it.
Double brim.
Why he's not competing? Yeah. Thanks, Pat. Now we're here with Cameron Zink. Normally we would be watching him way up top of the course, but thanks, guys. All right, where's this airing? Thank you. That's what I was giving wrong information. Here we go. Thanks, guys. Now, normally we'd probably be seeing you around this time at the top of the course, but unfortunately you're down here talking to me, and that's because you had a really hard time yesterday with the canyon gap.
Yeah, I'd hit it a few times before and then came in from the top of my line, which is a really like 150-foot chute, and tried to hose the chute really fast, and then the sun was kind of my eyes off the lip, and it was hard to judge, so I kind of went off previous braking and hit that lip way too hard, and it bucked me and sent me over the bars, and meanwhile I'm flying 15, 20 feet past the landing to flat, and I ejected, landed on my heel, and I think I have a little problem in my knee. It's not too bad, but so I could overcome that, but my heel, I tried to ride this morning, and I was just killing me, man. I tried to do a little 10-foot drop, and my cranks are rotating because I'm favoring my other leg, and it just was too much to take. So I'm out. You know, it's a tough decision to make, but I feel like it would be a huge safety issue hitting that canyon gap and the big G out, and me buckling myself and getting hurt far worse.
You can read a license plate from like 2 miles away.
I'm semi-walking right now, and I should have broke both my legs yesterday. You know,
that's just Tom,
so.
the ex-Vietnam.
Well, you know, we're sorry that you're not going to be competing, but we're happy to see you walking around, and you heal up, and we'll see you next year.
Thanks, buddy.
So back to the top, a rider that many are anticipating is going to put the sleeper run of all sleeper runs together. You see he's all smiles right now, but he has been ultra focused all week long. He's been meticulous about stringing together such an incredible line. I've seen, I would say, about 85% of it. There's some other things that he didn't do all the way through, but I'll tell you what, if he can pull just even that 80%, it is going to be a podium placing run. We're talking about Tyler McCaul as he gets ready for run number 1 of 2 here at Rampage.
I think he's got a super diverse run, Pat. He starts off, you know, off the top, it's all the same here. You go right, you go left. But once he gets into it, his choice is down the main ridge, and it's got a triple sets of doubles. Boom, 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 mad style. Then he drops into a line that no one else is doing that is...
And deceptive too, because if there's a mishap in the middle of that section, I mean, you're done.
So here's where the flow in his line comes before he gets into the absolutely crazy long drop he's built.
Yeah, he really, of all the riders, has done, I would say, the best job on the lower half.
Huge
Big! Amazing distance on that, right in the middle of that ridge. But he's done such a good job at doing a creative approach on the bottom. Sticks that no problem.
It's a huge
Whoa! Tyler McCaul is on point. Now watch this. Massive, sticks it.
Wow. Wow.
Oh! McCaul on the wall ride, top to bottom up to this point. One of the strongest runs we have seen so far.
I'm willing to bet that's the fastest run we saw down the mountain.
Not only incredibly technical, but the speed factor. Then you throw in the creativity of the line, and that hit at the bottom, you cannot underestimate how big and how deceiving, you know, just just the difficulty of that.
Refusing to live in the shadow of Big Brother, that's for sure.
Yep, because following him, Cam McCaul is going to be dropping in. We look forward to that, but it's all about T-Mac right now.
I'm willing to check in with the judges to see if that was the fastest run down the mountain. Nice flow.
Yeah, if it was a timed event, you see his speed here, it would he'd definitely take top honors.
Here comes that beautiful long no-hander. Wow.
And you really see the distance from that perspective.
Absolutely.
Just little manual control, the bike control, such finesse.
Also a bit of a racing background, right? You can see with his speed.
This is the one that we stood up on top of and we're like, wow, that might be one of the farthest in terms of shooting out.
And this next one here, he actually has to turn in the air, and it's a really short landing, maybe 3 bike lengths, make a turn and off to that massive thing that Gee Atherton made famous, and now everybody's handling it like it's a small dirt jump. Perfectly placed.
Is it one of those things where then once all these guys see that it's possible, then then they start doing it? It
has to be. Has to be. Oh, you can do it? Well, so can I.
Incredible. Just manhandling, stomping all his landings, such speed. So scores coming in. Wow, Tyler McCaul, 69.25, a surprising 5th place. Let's check in with Kenan, who's with T-Mac.
All right, Tyler, what else do you have to do here to get these judges to take notice of you? That was a fast, big run. You were even talking about hurting your ankles on some of those jumps.
Thank you. Yeah, I hadn't done the one big one before I go by where the Red Bull truck is, and holy cow, that thing, I went a little too deep on it, I think. And then I made it down, and that last thing into the quarter pipe, I think I went a little too slow on that, and my left ankle feels it, but I'm stoked to get back up there again and try to ride it faster and better, and maybe, I don't know, do something. We'll see. I got to figure out what to do now. Thank you.
Well, surprising. I mean, definitely had us up out of our seats. So Tyler McCaul puts together a smoking run and just shows how difficult it is to garner the attention of the judges and land on top of the leaderboard, but still on top. We see him there, Kurt Sorge, 82. That is the score to beat. We've got a few more riders with their first of 2 runs. Remember, his best run that counts here at the Red Bull Rampage.
Both McCaul and Zink probably took 6 to 8 trial runs to try and figure out the speed. Not to mention, McCaul's got something up top that I haven't even seen him hit. I don't even know if he's hit, but it might even be more impressive.
Here we go, run number 1 of 2. Cam McCaul on course. We cannot underestimate just the technical aspect of getting down this ridge to get over there. He's going to continue to fire all the way across, having to get on one wheel, manualing his way over. On the opposite side, it goes down a solid 90 feet.
It's like riding a North Shore skinny, but on top of a mountain. So where he gets into it, he gets a little flow in the middle of his line. He gets a little lower line score here, but he's charging into this nice big hip.
Beautiful hip
style.
And how much is it sitting in his head, knowing what went down with Cam Zink? They were both working on this jump together. Does that resonate? Does it sit in the back of your mind before you approach?
You know what? What he's about to do right here, I think, is what's going to resonate. There it is.
Oh,
beautiful. That was the other massive move in his line.
This gets him
killing it here.
This gets him over towards the section. Still has to get over. Getting there is half the battle.
He's there, buddy. Here it is.
Here we go. Cam McCaul.
Nice.
Beautiful. Just on a perfect landing for Cam McCaul.
Another big, huge drop. Another hip. Awesome run. And you know, Pat, the judges love
backflip on the bottom.
Stuff.
Sticks it. It's not over. We've seen a lot of riders have problems in this lower section, a lot of the soft pockets. But up to this point, a banger of a run. He is on top of the world.
That's what we talked about. It's an everything run. Flow, speed, style, tricks, and a sick line to boot.
Cam McCaul. I'll tell you what, watching Tyler McCaul's run and then Cam McCaul's, the McCaul's might be the new first family of freeride mountain biking. Incredible.
Yeah, that was an insane run. He's got to be pretty happy. And to answer your question about how he feels after Zink's situation, I mean, I'm sure Zink is probably pretty stoked for him too. I just saw them high-fiving there, and he is one happy camper.
And you know Cam Zink at this point just crushed that he can't be out there, you know, enjoying the party and putting a run together like this.
Here we go. We see the first of what we know Cam McCaul is so good at, his sweet style, tweaking it out. This is his fun part of the run. He's like, oh yeah, I'm getting into it.
I like how you point out that it's fun, but he's just on the edge of this cliff.
Yeah.
On this trail. But to speak to how steep, we've looked over at that section, just how steep this is getting over into it.
Here comes the run up, using all of his suspension. They were getting kind of bucked, but it looks like they figured it out now. Whips it out, and he just makes it.
You can't get any
closer. If you were on a hardtail there, you would have been done.
Yeah. Well, we've seen in the past, at the previous Rampage, a couple of bikes cracked on this jump.
Get a little look to the crowd,
really
look
now.
to the camera.
Really taking something out of maybe Carmichael's book there.
Showman, true showman.
So, okay. Right now, the top score is an 82 held by Sorge. Rounding out the top three is Lacondeguy with a 74. So he wants to get, obviously, onto that podium. What he really wants, obviously, is a better than an 82. And it has been so tough to just even impress the judges at this point. What is it going to take? Incredible run. Incredible line. And then let's bring up the backflip on the bottom, too. He followed that massive jump with the flip on the bottom. That run had everything that you want in a run at Rampage.
I gotta say, that's the full run. That's everything you want. I think
the technical aspect up top, huge on the jump. Let's check in with Kennan, who's with Cam McCaul.
All right, Cam, this was incredible for you here now. This was your nemesis last year. You got over it this time in your run in the finals. You've got to be elated, man.
Absolutely, man. When you drop in and you know you're going for the canyon gap, it's always in the back of your mind the whole time, like make that gap or the trail doesn't link together. And I have a new kicker down here at the bottom that I wanted to flip. I've ridden it a couple times, but I've never flipped it. So by the time I got there, I was super fatigued from riding the whole run. Flipped it really far and almost blew my hands off on the landing, but just kind of held on tight and finished her out. And it's exactly how I pictured it. I'm super pumped.
You know, top to bottom, you had a really impressive run just to get to the canyon gap. But there was one thing in particular, most riders don't hear a lot, but you heard something when you were out there today, didn't you?
Yeah, right when I got to the last kicker on the course that I wanted a backflip, I heard my wife standing right there going, "You got this!" So I was thinking like, I don't know if I do, but she says it does, so I should be able to get it.
Good job.
Thanks a lot.
Wow, a 70? Fifth place for Cam McCaul. I don't know how you feel about that, but we're not on the judging side of the table. Not an easy place to be, but do you agree with that?
Well, I'm going to be a judge right here and say,
So tough for Cam McCaul. Puts together the hammer of Thor of all runs that we've seen. Wow, just an incredible run. So obviously the judges getting that much more critical as we wind down after the first of two runs. Unbelievable what, come to think what it's going to take on run number 2 here in the finals. Sorge still on top with the 82. The question is, can it hold when we get to the second and final runs here at Red Bull Rampage? And there's Brett Rheeder enjoying the view from up top, 1,000 vertical feet over that. These riders dropping. If you think the view is great from here, imagine what it's like if you're Brett Rheeder and you're cruising down. Let's hop on a little piggyback ride, if you will. Check this out. This is so cool.
Gives you a little perspective of how narrow the ridge is. Doing a bar spin there. I think he landed on a 1.5 foot wide trail. And, you can see that all this stuff is blind. You kind of have to know it and anticipate it as it's coming. You can't see where you're going to land. You have to have this so prepared and so thought out. You got to know the speeds for these multiple jumps you're about to hit.
And you can see on either side some good drops as well.
Starting to get a lot more speed and flow in here. What a cool perspective.
What a cool, I'm not on, guys. Open up headsets. Check, 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 check. 1, 2, 3.
I'm not on either.
I can't hear myself, though. Check, 1, 2, there we go. I know I'm open. Such a cool perspective, and to think at day's end we will be crowning the 7th Red Bull Rampage champion. Let's take a little time to reflect back. There's been some incredible champs here. Any favorites? You know, you look back and wax nostalgic, Richie?
Well, you know, being the dinosaur that I am, I have to say that the era of Wade Simmons was awesome, but what we saw last year out of Cam Zink really set the bar for what's possible.
Yep, the 360 off the Oakley Icon Sender, that feature right there, and we look forward to more memorable moments as we get ready for the second of 2 runs. So Brett Rheeder had some problems on run number 1, a chance for redemption here, and he's seen what the judges are rewarding. Apparently it takes a lot. You need to have every single thing intact, whether it be the
Let's see if
line
he
choice.
tries to replicate.
Yeah,
Here we go.
The fluidity, he's going to have to up it a little bit, and then
he opted not to go for the bar spin, clearly.
Right, and that's where he had problems on run number 1, so already off to a better start.
He's going to have to fill this run full of tricks, Pat, because we can see that clearly the judges are looking for the line. That's awesome. That's true to the Rampage story. It's all about the gnarly line. So he's taken his flow line, but he's going to have to throw some big stuff in there.
And we saw that POV perspective. You see just how blind, just even that drop right there is when you jump on board.
He's moving into the part of the course where it's getting bigger and further.
This is a great little drop right here. Just fun. Navigates it, then right off the knob.
Exactly,
Yeah.
right off the knob. You know, he's run so far, it's been a little bit uneventful as far as the tricks go, but
Right
there it
there.
is.
Trying to silence Richie Schley in the booth. I love
he
that.
Did. I think he heard me.
Yeah. Wow. Gets the back flip on the lower section and then approaches.
And look, wait for this one. Oh, his great jump, but
Yeah.
what we saw him working on last night.
Yeah, you hear some disappointment there because last night he was working, you know, on an off-axis rotation there. You know, it looks like basically a reverse flare, but it's a little bit more going on, right?
Yeah, I heard someone say a backflip 180, and he did stick it a couple times, but then fell over in the soft dirt, so I guess he wasn't feeling it.
But it's, you know, it's interesting when you see 21 runs, you know, laid down, and then you see what it takes to get that top score. Kurt Sorge's holding on to an 82. It takes so much, but he definitely improved upon his first. That's a definite.
Dropping into the steep stuff here, you know, it's like this is loose, it's technical, he's approaching a blind drop, so it's all about how much speed do I have. You have to memorize all this stuff. Braking, still cracks out some nice style, whips it out. You can just see how the bike works here. He completely bottomed out his suspension, but as a true athlete, he's strong enough to muscle through it. And this is the action, right? This is a really far jump. There's very few guys even making it. He flips it and totally catches the backside perfectly. Let's see what it looks like from another angle. Wow. Totally off axis, sideways. That's pretty cool.
You pointed out. Now watch that back tire. Boom. Able to ride out of that. That's impressive.
You call that a stomp.
Yeah, you take. So scores for Brett Rheeder, trying to improve upon that first run, and he does decisively, but nowhere near enough to get on to the podium here today. A 58.25. The best he'll be able to do is 15th place, and we go right back to the top. I should point out, Brendan Howie opted not to take his second run. He threw it all on the line on run number 1, so we won't be seeing a second run from him.
Which just goes to point out how dangerous this is. You know, you say, I'm not going to take a second run because, yeah, it's fun, but it's gnarly.
Yeah, and, you know, Kyle Norbraten, 63.75 on his first run. I mean, and there was so much in that run. And then he sees what Sorge, what Lacondeguy, all these other riders are throwing in their runs. It has to be unnerving to think, how am I going to even up it even more?
Well, and he did go early, so let's see. Let's say he throws down the exact same run. Let's see how the judges score it, because, you know, as true as it may be, and maybe not so awesome, the judges take a second to warm up.
Every sport, doesn't matter the sport, judges calibrate. Navigates that one perfectly.
Couple 360s last time. Let's see what he's got. I mean, I thought that was an amazing run, the first one he threw down. But you know he's going to try to improve on it. So as he gets into the meat of his run here, there it is again. Boom!
Sticks it again. So consistent on that 360. And he had a second one here right after this section on the lower half.
Picking his way down. There it is. Was that the opposite way?
Oh my.
So he did a 360 one way, and then he did 360 another way. That's really respectable. Hopefully the judges are taking that into consideration.
Yeah, throwing the old baseball pitch both directions. Big gap. There. Navigates the wall ride. You saw him get a little squirrely.
I really hope those judges realize what he just did, because the first run, I think he could have come in a little higher, and let's hope he does this one. Look at all those lovely fans out there.
We've got fans from Mexico, America.
And the beach, it looked like.
And the beach. Tell you what, it's great to see him come back and really up that run. And it just hammers home. I mean, that wall ride that just took down, you know, any rider that tried to tackle it last year. You know, Doerfling was one of them. You know, Gee Atherton, maybe, I think the only guy to successfully land it. Now we're seeing, what, 5, 6 guys? Just, it seemed like, you know, just lay it in at the last point.
Exactly. It seems like just another jump on the hill, but it's actually massive and so technical.
Can you get any more dialed on a 360, though?
I don't think so. Perfect. Crushing his suspension.
And then the other one setting up. I mean, how a jump is blind, but then it becomes even more blind when you throw the 3 in there.
He's really got the rotation perfect. Yeah. He's just landing square as square. And then the big transfer is so impressive, and we're almost, I'm sitting here and completely taking it for granted because I've seen it so many times, but I stood on that several times and I'm like, yeah, I don't think I would do that.
I don't think most people would zip line this distance. I mean, it's incredible. Look at that. Just gorgeous. Bike skills. Let's send it down to Kenan.
All right, Kyle, you survived Rampage here. How different is it from riding here to the riding back in BC?
The riding in BC is moist, it's rooty, it's wet all the time. This is just completely dry, dusty, loose. So it's a different place to ride, and it's a lot of fun though. You get used to it.
All right, definitely getting used to it out here. I mean, you were able to nail the 360 4 times today. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I guess so. It's 4 times, and that second run felt a lot cleaner. Got through it, rode my line out, and just feel good about it. It's good to be down here in one piece.
All right, congratulations.
Thank you.
Wow, so the rider doing the Sunshine Coast proud, just perfectly executed.
You know, the Coastal crew, they got Brandon Semenuk's compound there. They basically spend a ton of their time there, train there, watch the master go, and you got to think that what you're seeing here has got to do a little bit with following the king.
Oh, yeah, it's progression through osmosis. That's what it is. Scores coming in 65.25, only good enough for 9th, and all that says is, you know what? We've got some banger runs being thrown down. It takes virtual perfection at Red Bull Rampage to top the leaderboard, and our current standings after the first of 2 runs, we're just getting underway with the second and final runs. It's still the top spot held by Kurt Sorge. Binggeli in second, and rounding out the top 3 of the Lacondeguy. And James Doerfling just missing the top 3. I expect a lot from Doerfling on his second and final run. Winning a Red Bull Rampage is the most taunting task the sport has to offer. And this man, Kyle Strait, he was able to do it in 2004. But interesting when you think there's never been a repeat winner. Let's hear from Kyle Strait on that.
Yeah, there hasn't been a repeat winner of the Rampage in the entire history. So I don't really feel pressure, but I would be super stoked to be the first time, second time winner. It would be awesome. You know, there's a lot of other dudes out here. 3 other dudes that are shooting for that goal. So it's going to be a shootout, and there's a lot of other dudes that want to win as well. So we'll see what happens. I'm feeling good out there.
All right, he says he doesn't feel pressure, but I know there's so much pride that comes with this event. He's got to be so disappointed. He's good friends with Cam Zink, the defending champion, but here's his chance to become a 2-time Rampage winner. Kyle Strait on his second and final run.
Yeah, exactly, Pat. One of the only 2 riders that are the most experienced here, having done all the events since the beginning, since he was a kid.
The other one being Vanderham, correct?
Exactly.
Yeah.
He was also a teenager when this all started. And Kyle's got an interesting line. Scored pretty good on the first one, so let's see what happens as he drops off the ridge into the gnarly originalness of his line.
Strait currently in 8th place.
Huge air.
Big distance there for Strait. Makes the transfer. Has to better an 82 to move to the top spot.
There's the signature Kyle Strait shoulder buzzer. Nice whip.
Coming just under the Oakley Center as he approaches that other open valley. A lot on offer right here.
I don't think anyone can argue that he's the biggest, burliest rider in this event. And here he comes charging into this air that we saw in practice last night that he talked about. It's a long one.
Maintaining that speed, he said it's difficult on the run up. Just a big suicide no-hander lander. And Strait goes down.
A testament to how big and tough that guy is. That's a gnarly crash. Tumbling through the dirt, boom, bounces up.
The last competitor here you'd want to end up in a headlock with, because he is a burly competitor. But we were talking about that soft landing before in practice. So many riders unable to ride out of it. It is like almost like a soot, even softer than sand. He was able to muscle through it that time, but I should say in the first run. But unfortunate for Strait.
Just goes to show you can be 1 foot to the side, and all of a sudden it's a foot deeper of sand, you know.
And how about the fact that you negotiate a perfect run and it's on that last 50 feet? You literally can see the corral from there.
Yeah, we're gonna be sitting on his first run for the score, I'm sure. But let's have a look at what happened here. Huge air, gets his hands off early, which is super impressive because usually on a no-hander it comes late. And he handled it. He just caught such a hard landing. I think his feet and cranks might have hit the ground, and just anything to stop the momentum can blow you forward and knock you off your bike.
Unfortunately, not the suicide no-hander lander, just couldn't land it, and it just didn't come together for Kyle Strait. Unfortunate for the 2004 Rampage champion. The best he'll be able to do, it looks like, as scores starting to come in for Strait. He's trying to better that 65, I believe was a 65.75 from his first run, but with that fall, I mean, we can assume that it wasn't an improvement.
Yeah, I would have to say that.
I mean, disappointment for a rider that put so much into his riding and really was looking forward to this Rampage in particular. I think him and Cam Zink really focused on, continuing to make their mark. So we can assume that that's a throwaway as Kyle Strait, his hopes dashed for a Rampage victory in 2012. Waiting to take the drop, none other than Darren Berrecloth. And if anyone knows a thing or two about putting together a critical line choice, it's this guy. He thrives on it. In fact, you get to hop on board here, and this is basically, I would say, a standard line for Darren during practice that he took us through.
Well, is there a standard line? I mean, he's such a burly, badass dude that everything he does is incredibly hanging it out there and crazy.
And he really takes a creative approach to the lines that he brings to Rampage every time.
Well, as we can see in the where the trail ends last night. He truly is the big mountain guy. He loves the raw, natural terrain. And he's showing us that here.
Yeah. So this is just basically a top ridge line, which obviously Darren could practically do in his sleep. But the line that we're about to see, nothing close to that. He has to build on that. He had problems on the lower half, but watch just how vertical and just how strung together everything is on the top portion of this. Berrecloth could definitely crack into the top 3. He just has to make it happen, top to bottom. Here we go, his final run.
I just love the top of this. He's just completely committed into the fall line, right out of the gates. You can see the steepness by the dirt and rocks sloughing like snow, chasing him down. Look at the boulders chasing him.
Almost hitting him when he cut back across.
He's bringing some speed to this run. The technical portion of his run here is so critical that he doesn't fall, because it's not so prepared. It's much more natural than a lot of the riders have chosen. And now he's going to get into his section. Nice drop where he needed to do some tricks, and he caught something. I'm sure he went in there and cleaned it up.
Really utilizing that terrain. This nice natural bank slalom.
Some style, not exactly I know what he wanted to get, because I saw him work those jumps better in practice. But he's got something big for us at the end here, I know that.
You can see him just ferociously paddling, getting speed, coming up in the section.
We're gonna see some Berrecloth signature move or his nemesis. What's it gonna be? Yeah.
3. Oh, and into the saw, and once again, such disappointment. It's that soft landing. It's just taking out the best in the sport, whether it be Kyle Strait or Berrecloth.
This contest is his nemesis. He's had everything, every great deal in this sport, and he has not won the Rampage. And it looks like it's not going to happen again, buddy.
And he's, he's one of those riders that's not opposed to taking 2 Rampages to get a run dial.
Yeah.
He did, making the podium at the last one. It's such a creative rider, revered by so many, and definitely leading the charge of the movement, like just pure open riding, big mountain. I mean, I liken to some of the riding that I see from him. It's like watching guys ski and snowboard in Alaska, big AK lines, but he brings that spirit to mountain biking. It's so cool.
Where's my money?
Here he comes. You got to wonder how he's feeling after this. Like, let's not forget that he just had a massive crash in practice at Joyride, and he basically broke his back, and he's only been back on his bike for around 2 weeks. So, this is a pretty not super polished right now Darren Berrecloth, because he's been injured. So he's pretty happy to be out here riding. He knows he's not had the training that he would have loved to have had for this contest. Lands on his back again. Let's just hope that hasn't affected him for his off season coming up.
Yeah, so disappointment for Berrecloth, one of the icons of the sport. We send it down to Kenan, who's with Darren.
All right, guys, Darren, Rampage once again proving to be something of a big obstacle here for you, huh?
Yeah, definitely. I was pretty stoked on my run. Came down, had a good line, pretty stoked, and at the bottom just came in a little too hot, and went a little deep, and the soft dirt ate my front tire.
It certainly did, man. Yeah. You definitely went far in that 360, but you had an injury a few weeks back at Joyride. How's the back feeling after this?
Actually pretty good. I got my my Evoc back protector on, and I definitely felt that one, because I went straight to front tire, right to back, and man, feels pretty good. But definitely stoked that I'm here, hanging out with all the boys, having fun, and yeah, stoked to see the show go down.
Well, regardless of results, it was still enjoyable to watch that line.
Sounds good.
So 55.50. The best he'll be able to do is 16th for Berrecloth, but as we pointed out, a fan favorite. All right, a great perspective looking up at the top, and I'll tell you what, there's a lot of people that are surprised that this rider is not on top of the podium right now. You talk about the anticipation, the hype, the build-up, and the build-out of his line. This gentleman right here is supposed to be on top, but he's not. He needs to capture everything, lightning in a bottle on his last run. Brandon Semenuk, here he goes.
He's looking for 2 titles here, Pat. FMB World Tour title. Could lock it up right here, and to you know, duplicate the victory, be the only man to have won 2 Red Bull Rampages with this incredibly gnarly line. Unarguably the most difficult line on the hill.
Look at that, just that sculpted berm.
Here comes that massive transfer. Nails it again.
Makes it look so easy. Has enough speed, almost gets caught up on that ledge.
Here we're coming into the trick portion of Brandon's run. This is unarguably the best slopestyle rider in the world, and he made a bobble on a simple thing, but here he comes into what his element is and what he's best at.
And he plays it safe. This was the jump that gave him problems. He sticks it, no problem.
Watch for this next one. Massive backflip.
Oh no, Semenuk goes down. And with that, any hopes to make the podium are completely dashed for Semenuk. And there's a, you know, like as you pointed out, 2 titles at stake for Semenuk at this point. Söderström, another rider who's looking for that overall title, the FMB title. But
you got to know that Martin Söderström's eyeballs just open like flying saucers, and he's like, it's a possibility, which he probably never in a million years thought was.
Well, to bring it back to the FMB overall title, Semenuk right now, before he dropped in that run, was sitting in 11th place. Söderström just has to better that on his second run, which is a big task. So to just bring it back to focus for that FMB world title. And it's a great thing that the FMB, that this is a premier event. It does force a lot of the guys from slopestyle to have to come and do this kind of riding.
Oh, I agree. It's actually a true story there, Pat. I mean, a guy like Martin Söderström probably never would have chose to come, but he's here, and now it's actually a reality for him that he may take this title.
And how about that he's able to navigate this stuff perfectly, but it's been the jumps on the bottom that you wouldn't have guessed that. They're giving him
his forte is what's taking him out, which is making no sense whatsoever. But let's keep in mind how massive these actual moves are. That's an over rotation. If he somehow could have got that front end down, he probably would have nailed it perfectly. Didn't even get into the meat of the last part of that run.
Yeah, and it turns out inches spelled the difference out for Semenuk being a Rampage champion.
Blew his hands right off the handlebars there. There's so much force from such a huge jump and big trick.
And he knows with that fall, yeah, a 59, so huge disappointment for Semenuk as we check in with Kenan, who's with Brandon.
All right, Brendan, you know what? Obviously not something that you're excited to talk about up here. Very heartbreaking for you. You had everything dialed as far as the big mountain side of things, but it's the slope style, something that normally we see you very comfortable with, kind of just messing you up today.
Yeah, I don't know. It's bad luck. Wasn't on it.
All right. Well, thanks a lot for taking the time to talk, and we'll see you next year.
So you can hear it. You can see it in the body language. Huge disappointment for Semenuk. The only, I would say, positive thing I can say is that he can potentially still secure the FMB title, and we'll have to see how that unfolds, how Söderström does in his run, his second and final run. And the current standings still in the midst of the second and final runs here in the Red Bull Rampage finals. That score, that whopping 82, held by Kurt Sorge. That is the score to beat. If you like spring break, if you don't fight the fun, then this is your kind of rider. He lays it all on the line, always a blast to watch. James Doerfling just outside of the podium. If anyone could upset the balance of that, it is this rider. Watch here. The volatility, the excitement, and the energy that he brings to his runs is unbelievable.
He's got the charge, Pat. He's got the lines. He's got all that. He needs to throw some sick trick in here to measure up to the Kurt Sorges of the world.
Yeah, that transfer, the line, just billy goating, as we say, on that top section. It's so technical.
Hanging it out right in the fall line here. Still charging with conviction, as always. Boom, off Sorge's line.
It's that transfer. Difficult to maintain speed over that. See him having to pedal a bit over towards the Oakley Icon Center. He's going to hit that again.
The 50-foot step down. Boom.
Takes
Perfect.
it cleanly. Doerfling well on his way back.
There it
Flips
is.
the lower.
Oh. That was the sauce he needed to throw on top to get on the podium. How unfortunate. Oh.
A great way to get out of a backflip if you have to get out, but not the time to do it. He
just scrubbed some bush. That was it.
That back end washed out, and then, as you pointed out, scrubbed a little bush.
But he's still going to go for it and put on a show for his fans.
The transfer that we've been watching all day used to be his nemesis, and today
now it's fun. He doesn't
toying with it. That's like he's leaving his front door and going down the driveway. It is crazy to think that's something that used to, everyone said that's unmakeable.
Yeah.
And I think it's safe to say a lot of Doerfling's line, a lot of Sorge's line, even Semenuk, when we walked upon the Rampage this year, there were some concerned people. We were worried for the riders. They have silenced all those worries with the level of riding they've brought to the finals.
Absolutely. There was a lot of discussion about maybe the levels jumped too fast, too far, too soon.
Do we need to step in and regulate?
But clearly, it's okay.
So, wow. So for Doerfling, who was in 4th place when he dropped into this run, was good through this section.
I got to say, I feel horrible for the guy. He knew what he had to do. He did it, and he stuck it just a little off access and gets taken down on kind of a simple move we're going to see here in a second.
Yeah, you can see just how solid he was going off the sender. Playing it, we can say that now, fairly stock, because now, most of the competitors are doing that, and that's the back flip.
And the guy said it's a hard jump to trick because it's far and low, so you don't get the pop that you typically want for these kind of tricks to set you up for a nice flow. It's a very low floater.
And it's got that weird off-camber double fall line landing. So we don't expect an improvement, no chance. Yeah, a 55.75. So the best Doerfling will be able to do here today is 4th place if he can hold on to that. Just chilling like rams and billy goats up there, and you'd be all smiles too if you were the current leader. Kurt Sorge still on top, 82. And imagine this, imagine you're in the finals. Imagine you've been to every Red Bull Rampage there ever was. Imagine you've had every spot on the podium except one. Well, you'd be this guy. Vanderham gets ready for his 2nd and final run. He's at a 2nd place finish here, a 3rd place. The only one missing from his collection at Rampage is the top spot.
3, 2, 1. Vanderham on board.
Here he goes. How can he better that run, Pat? He's got the line score top notch. He didn't really nail it on his hip. That's definitely can be improved, but look at the line. This is maybe more committing than the Semenuk.
When you saw the riders, using part of his line because they know it's so technical. They know the judges are putting a lot of emphasis on lines like that. He is so precise. He just has that deft touch.
Here's his technical double drop. Small landing off this one.
Tap it. So far, Vanderham
getting some kind of trick off. That's going to help.
Very clean, and you saw it had good speed coming out of that.
He needs, on this section, to drop in and to show his Vanderham whip. We didn't get it on the last one. That'll give him some big scores. We got to see that here for any hope. There you go.
Just getting
nice
up
big
there, though.
Step up, not quite as Vanderhamish as it could be. Super technical step up.
Gets a little cleaner that time. But I would say needs one last indelible mark with the judges on the bottom set here. Here we go.
To the G hip.
Massive wall transfer, does that no problem.
Solid run for Vanderham, but I think that's not going to get him on the podium.
Well,
his ability to do the big moto whip, he won the whip off at the Crankworks, or he got 2nd at the whip off, and you know, we didn't get to see it. That's one of his signature moves, and you need to get all those elements in to stand on the podium here.
And may I say, maybe one of the downside of having so many world-class riders here is that you get desensitized by high level of riding. So that transfer to bank wall, that becomes standard. The icon center, that becomes standard. But this type of riding, that's the part that isn't standard.
That's right. But this was great. High up on the course, huge no-hander. You know, he's in the midst of a bunch of technical lines, and any mistake, he can fall off a huge cliff. But you're totally right, Pat. It's desensitized from what we've seen today. But I think this is where it could have went better for Thomas. If he could have got, you know, big drop, and he was looking for the huge moto whip on this step up, and I don't know why, but it just didn't seem to work out, because we saw it last night in practice, and it was textbook Vanderham. And here, decent, but not quite what it could be. It's almost like he didn't have the speed, and he was really reaching for it, whereas last night, he seemed to be landing a lot further and really nailing it.
Yeah, almost tail tapping the Red Bull banner there. It's coming up a lot higher, so you could see it on Vanderham's face. He knows that it most likely is not enough, and it is not. However, an improvement, 68.25. Thomas Vanderham has been to every Red Bull Rampage, but he will not see the top spot at this year's event. So Lacondeguy in the third spot with that 74. Binggeli, second place, 77.25, but I think the big surprise is Kurt Sorge. We were talking about how much work he was putting into his line. He was coming out here with his build-out team, Travis Chipray, with Giant Bicycles, getting out here early and really manicuring that line and getting things sorted out, and they've done a great job, and it's paid off. Top spot, 82. Our next rider in the gate, if this was a rider you were to run into somewhere, you'd think maybe, okay, this is a guy that you'd see at the BMX trails. I mean, he's very, you know, he's lean and mean, a little scraggly, but don't let the light stature fool you. Wil White is capable of some truly big and amazing stuff here at Rampage. He deserves to be here, currently sitting in 13th place.
Just to ride down this course is worthy, so every one of these riders deserves to be here.
Our youngest competitor at 18 years old in the finals. And you see that line from that perspective, you just realize just how narrow it is on the other side.
His whiskers are brushing the cliff wall, and the other side are keeping you from falling off a cliff. Dropping into that haggard 60-degree rugged slope.
And he's gone on record. He definitely prefers the natural terrain aspect of this event. Even though he was opting for the Oakley Sender, putting it part of his line. Great job there. See him taking his time, thinking about what?
The 50-foot Oakley Sender. Nice style. Way down the landing.
Little extra distance.
Nice.
Oh, it's a Superman on that great extension.
Could be the first Superman we've seen this weekend. Nice big drop. There you go.
So Wil White, we were talking about the story earlier where his hometown in San Diego, California, just inland from there, no riding spots, hasn't ridden in 4 months before he got here to Rampage, and you wouldn't know it judging by
how he charged the course.
The tenacity there, just powering through.
Fist pump.
But he's happy. I mean, talk about making the finals and then having 2 stand-up runs. 18 years old, and that says great things about the future of this, the aspect of this side of the sport.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I'm sure he's just fired up to be here amongst this great crowd of the best riders in the world. He seems totally stoked. Doesn't seem like an ounce of disappointment on that smile to me.
Yeah. And I'm sure you see talent, you know, this age and much younger up at Whistler. I mean, in the park, it's staggering to think how good kids are at such a young age.
Yeah, I think once the riders have seen it, it's so much easier to duplicate.
Yeah. It's good to lead by example. I think
right.
that's what you were doing, and still are, by the way.
But is it a good one or a bad one?
No, it's a good, positive example. But once again, I think he's hammering home how commonplace now 50-foot icon sender jumps
Exactly. And so cool to see a big Superman thrown on this next jump. We haven't seen a ton of tricks on the big long floater. He went far off that.
Yeah, I'd give him an extra 15-foot extra credit points.
The Oakley 65-foot center.
Incredible distance, and he just, 18 years old, just handles it. And here's the gap to the quarter pipe. We're expecting
barely makes it.
Yeah, barely makes that, and then keeps it fairly stock. So what we've seen off the quarter. But great
yeah, we
form
really haven't
nonetheless.
seen what we kind of had hoped for off that quarter. I know that, you know, Rheeder had big hopes there, but he just didn't seem like he had it dialed. So.
Yeah. All right, so Wil White, his second and final run in the books as we check in with Kenan.
All right, thanks, guys. Now, something you got to know about Wil, when was the last time you rode your downhill bike?
About 4 months ago.
Yeah, and so you're getting on it here at Rampage, which is probably the gnarliest course out there. So, you know, how did you prepare for this?
I really didn't. The only thing I had to ride by my house is just some small BMS dirt jumps and a skate park, so I just take my slopestyle bike out when I can. But other than that, you just have to practice here, and that's all I do to prepare.
You're also the youngest competitor, but you're still going as big as some of the seasoned veterans. Are you going to be maybe getting on the downhill bike a little bit more now?
I'd like to, but unfortunately where I live, there's not too many places to ride, but we're going to work on it.
All right, well, you know, maybe you want to move someplace with a few more places to ride. We'd like to see it.
Move out
Back,
here.
Exactly. Back to you guys.
Yeah, 2 words, natural talents, Wil White. And I have to say, one of the best things about coming to Red Bull Rampage every year, beyond the insane riding, is seeing the wide eyes and the reaction of those when they walk up upon the scene and see this setting for the first time. And Antoine Bizet is one of those riders. Let's hear what he has to say.
Oh yeah, I was checking everywhere, and like in Europe we got freeride contests, but we try to find the craziest place, and here it's different. Like everywhere it's crazy, and you just try to find the way you can go without dying. So it's crazy.
And it's, you know, I love to hear his approach to it. It was so French, you know, like it's okay. We just get on the mountain. It's the way we do it. And I'll tell you, of all the riders coming out of France, Antoine Bizet really takes that approach that we love. It's just pedal to the metal. And let's hope we see it here in his second and final run. He can definitely shake things up. As you see, disappointment on his first run, a throwaway. So let's see what he has.
Creeping right into the gnar right off the gates. These lines are so serious. If you fall there, little bobble, his own hesitation. This is where he went down last time, but he handled it, and he's into his line.
Almost taking a trials approach there, really stalling up.
These lines are so committing.
You
at the very top of one of the most exposed parts of the course, throws a little backflip. Super impressive.
Wow. It's almost Chamonix style there.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just commitment. Bizet going strong so far on his second run of 2. Already a huge improvement. And watch the speed that you need to continue through here as you come off the Oakley Sender. Has to be clean.
We haven't seen a ton of these second runs. The leaders are holding, so it's great to see some new action happening here.
There's
Another
that
huge
flip.
backflip.
We see it, sticks it, no problem.
Wow. He's on fire now. You can see his run building momentum as he gets down. Another flip off access.
Oh, 2 in a row off axis on the second. Bizet could be finding himself in the top 5, top 3 potentially.
This is the 3 flip wonder. What's he got on the quarter? Takes it safe.
He's thinking, you know what, 2 flips under my belt. I'm
3.
Yeah, 3, I'm sorry. 4. Okay. I just shortchanged him and he shut me up. Antoine Bizet, after a completely throwaway first run, comes back in his second run and just unleashes it. If you had to say a slight touch, but what he was able to do on that top section.
That's commitment, and especially when he crashed right near the top last time, you think he'd be intimidated or scared, but charges in and throws a flip right in the most exposed part of the run.
Wow, the ferocity of the Frenchman. You have to take it into account.
Let's see what he did here. He handled that top part that he had trouble with last time.
I mean,
boom.
We should point out from that point of view, you're looking down into the bottom valley of Virgin, Utah.
Yeah, you don't want to fall there. you definitely could be in some serious trouble. Great creativity. Not the hugest backflip, but where he did it, he's got to score high for that.
Well, it's location, location, location.
That's right, just like real estate.
Yeah. And then
getting excited now, Pat. Those leaders were holding so strong, and now we're getting into the guys that seriously want to knock them off their pedestal. He took this last bit safe. He's like, I just nailed 3 backflips, and I'm just going to ride it through because this isn't so critical, this part of the course.
We're talking about that soft dirt there. It's taken out the best, the likes of Berrecloth and even Kyle Strait. So Antoine Bizet, we know it was an improvement. Is it good enough to crack into the top 3? Has to better a 74. We send it to Kennan.
All right, so you made it through that section of the course that took you out the first time. I know you were psyched, but something that really woke everyone up, aside from that, was the fact that you did the first flip so high up.
Oh yeah. I found this place searching for my line, and like I found a little place. I said, yeah, let's do a kicker here and do a flip. It's gonna be like original. And yeah, I did it. I got it good. So stoked. First time I did it on my own. Stoked.
All right, congratulations, because you just moved into second place.
Yeah, sick. Crazy.
Calm, cool, collective, and elated. Antoine Bizet. And I'll tell you, I think you hit it right on the head, Richie. The judge is rewarding the critical aspect of the lines. And when you throw in a flip in there, that is going to leave a huge mark. And it obviously illustrated in the score there for Bizet. Second place, unbelievable. His first time to Rampage. And he finds himself in the top 3. Sorge still holding on strong in the top spot with an 82. And I think everyone could anticipate that, you know, in these second and final runs, it's going to get it's that much more intense. I'll tell you what I don't think anybody anticipated was the consistency of these guys. I think we were talking about it earlier, how we were worried for their welfare. But they're, like I said, they're silencing everyone. Not only are they putting together one great run, they're coming back 2 solid runs. And so progressive, so technical. Geoff Gulevich getting ready. Score to beat right now is at 82 by Sorge. We know Gully has it in him. He just has to throw the peppering that you're talking about.
Absolutely, he's got the speed, he's got the style, he's known for going big, and I know there's a bag of tricks in there. He just has to bust it all out and piece it all together in this last final run for him here at the Rampage.
And he's also a rider, you talk about the build-out, but he can also impromptu aspect, a slight touch there, but he can improv his way through sections.
Getting a little loose there, almost went over, but he is in a pretty ragged, hairy line. Same thing last time. He was a little bit soft on that jump, didn't quite make it. He needs to pick his speed up a little here to catch his transitions as he heads into the Oakley Center with his unique entrance to it.
Oh,
very cool.
You have to love the air entrance.
Awesome.
Oh.
Nice.
Does he get it? He gets it.
There you go. That's the bag of tricks that Gulevich has been seeing him now dip into.
And this interesting step up over the hip there, just tags it a little bit.
He's going to be deemed with a new name, Quesadilla, I think.
No. So Gully right over to the quarter pipe, takes a straight shot right to the end. So a clean run.
A clean
by
run,
Gulevich.
you gotta think that the judges are going to score him somehow, whether it be on fluidity or something for casing all those jumps.
I'd say the case factor, and then you have to bring up the slight touch. I say clean run. I should say full pull, but there were slight bobbles, and it seems like after the judges got done calibrating, they obviously started to like put their critical hats on. It got that much tougher to get into the top 3.
Let's see if we see. You know, he keeps coming up short on all these jumps. Like good style, but just keeps. You know, it's one of those things. Like if you watch a dirt jump contest, once you miss once, you keep robbing yourself of speed over and over and over again. But clearly here, he landed it perfectly, and he did not lose any speed. but check out the impact on this landing.
Yeah,
you can see how much impact there is when the bike hits the ground and what goes through the guy's body. Boom. That's like a minor whiplash scenario, and he landed it perfectly. That's how big the jumps are and how massive the impacts are. Taking it safe with some nice gully style.
So Geoff Gulevich. Few bobbles, but some moments of brilliance. Did have the back flip, however. That was a nice touch after the sender. Had a nice tweak on that. It was a good English on the flip.
It's such a strange
was in
jump to do a
15th.
flip on.
Yeah, trying to improve upon that. See how the judges, they have been, like we said, awfully critical as they should be. So Gulevich, an improvement will move him from 15th to 11th. That will be the best he can do if he can hold on to that spot.
What's up, man? All right, you still alive? Got a little weird out there, but...
Yeah, sure. As you're about to see, the Red Bull Rampage is just one of the many stops on the Red Bull Signature Series, crossing the globe to bring you the best of the most unique sports.
Is yet to come. The Red Bull Signature Series, all season long on NBC and the NBC Sports Network.
So a great look at the Red Bull Signature Series, and I've been lucky enough to be, at a lot of those stops, and I can tell you, of all of the events, Red Bull Rampage is the one you have to see with your own eyes. You have to see in person the distances that Kurt Sorge, our current leader, is actually taking. He's the current leader with an 82. What would you do at this point?
Well, I would say I know who's coming up after me, and I better do exactly what I did last time, but better and more. Because this thing is not over yet. Sorge is definitely a madman. He can win this thing, wants it bad. It's one thing he'd like to put under his belt, and he's charging it right now. Nice big no-hander at the top again.
And you shake your head, you're like, what more could he do to this run?
Exactly. It was such a solid run. Great style. Bobbled a little there. He's a little short. But he's trying, you can see he's throwing in a manual. He's trying to put in extra little things so he can get just 1 or 2 or 3 more points because he knows McCaul and the likes of are chasing him.
Yeah. So clean off the sender. Great extension.
A Sorge signature move right there. Watch this next one. Boom, his big backflip again. Perfect. But you know what? I think we're going to see him better right here, right now. There it is.
Big transfer.
G transfer, and last time he just opted for the small air on the side. So clearly that should better that last run, Pat. Let's hope for Kurt Sorge.
Yeah, it's been interesting where they've been putting emphasis and when here today. It's no easy task. These riders disappearing in the chasms.
Well, you know he's not relaxed because he's got McCaul, he's got Binggeli, he's got Lacondeguy, and there's even some dark horses like Nico Vink. There's some heavy hitters to come, and be too relaxed at this moment, right?
Not at all. Not at all. It is definitely not a done deal for Kurt Sorge in terms of taking the top honors here today.
He's looking solid here. Busts out that nice no-hander. Again, like we said, way high on the course. The judges love that. They're like, these guys are taking chances right out of the gate. So that's a high-scoring move right there. And off the sender. With his style, and sets himself perfectly up for the Sorge super extended Superman.
That's the, like you said, signature move.
Definitely one of his signature moves.
One of my favorite moves he did in Where the Trail Ends.
Yeah.
Scene
Extended
stealer.
beyond belief. I thought he was actually throwing his bike into the next valley, and somehow he seemed to pull it back. Great style off the sender too.
You know, so we've seen more riders go off this 50-foot plus sender than ever before, but we have yet to see another 360 like Cam Zink.
That's true. That's true.
But the back flip
step down. If you would have told me that people would have done this kind of thing when I was doing the Rampage, I wouldn't have believed you.
Yeah. So scores coming in for Sorge on run number 2. He's our current leader. 86.75. The judges love what they see from Kurt Sorge as we send it over to Ken Harkin, who's with Sorge.
Okay, you are putting all the pieces into place right now to get yourself at the top of that podium. You've got to now sit back and watch. Are you satisfied with what you've done today?
Yeah, I'm really satisfied. Terrified coming into it, and to be sitting already on top of my first run and then cleaning it up in the second run, pretty happy.
Yeah, I'd be happy too. You know, Rampage is definitely, it's not a joke out here. You said you were terrified. You know, does that really weigh on you the weeks coming up to this event?
Oh yeah, like losing sleep over this event for sure. It's the scariest event ever.
All right, we have a little bit more of a nail biter for you because there's some capable riders yet to go, but really fantastic job, Kurt.
Cheers, man, thanks.
Wow, can you believe that? Comes out on his second run, held onto the lead for the entire duration of the first runs after posting that 82, and then comes back with an 86.75. Incredible performance by Kurt Sorge. Who can possibly better an 86.75? And there's something that Sorge's doing that the other riders aren't. Is it the variety of the line? Is it because we're seeing some similar moves on the features?
Well, we clearly talked about that. At the top, he's doing the high scoring score, the high line score choice. And then in the middle, he's throwing tricks everywhere. He's charging. He's got it all.
Logan Binggeli, a local here from Utah. If anyone knows how to really take advantage of the terrain, it should be him as he drops in on his final run.
He surprised us with that backflip there, so he's definitely a threat to Sorge. It's completely possible that he has some tricks up his sleeve that we haven't seen yet as he drops into this gnarly line, double drop, handling it like it's nothing.
Currently in third place, so well within striking distance. Yeah, best run counts.
Charging that section of the course. Wow, another big backflip.
That's a little caught up, almost off to the side there. Now what does he have in store off the sender? Fairly straight.
Such a massive drop. They're not doing too much. Oh, beautiful.
It gets
almost looked like a stall half flight. The engine shut down and he fired him back up. No hander. So very similar run to Sorge.
Yeah, how would you decide for the two? If you had to watch this split screen and you were a judge, where would you put that run next to Sorge's run?
Sorge's giant step down, boom, would have killed the no-hander. Otherwise, the runs were quite similar.
But there's an aspect to the top of Sorge's line, though, too, that it seemed like there was maybe a slight bit more speed, or...
Well, he did the no-hander up there, too, which Binggeli did not get. But I think that there was another backflip in his run that Sorge didn't get. So that's where this judging gets so critical, and you dissect it. And they're struggling, I'm sure.
It's no easy task to get out that abacus and really, have to quantify the difference in style. You're looking at line choice, fluidity, control, the tricks and style, and then the amplitude, how big they're going off the jumps. I'd say maybe 2 off the icon center. I think on Sorge's run, a little more English, a little more style on that.
Definitely, definitely. The stalled backflip, though, off the floater, and this one was perfect. Like, big amplitude. It's partially why he got offline. He went so far down the landing.
And he landed in the sandbox.
Yeah. But like you say, if it's a direct comparison, I think Sorge beats him here. Very similar runs, and hard to dissect who would have had a better score in each section.
Thankfully, we don't have to worry about that.
Oh,
they bring in the best,
so much
best
more fun
judges. It's
in this area.
Yeah.
We just get to be our own judges, but no one weighs it on
exactly. 77.25. Logan's score from the first run. He's trying to better an 86.75, held by Kurt Sorge, currently in 3rd place. Can he better?
I'm kind of sitting on nails right now, wondering. There's so many similarities, but so many differences in the 2 runs. That how does the old abacus work?
It's it's extreme. It's all right, let's check in with Kenan Arkin, who's with the one and only local in the finals. Kenan?
Yeah, I thought you were going to say local, boy. It was a little bit like Rad here. Now, let me tell you what, man. Your flips are so stalled out. I mean, it's almost like a 2-stage flip. How'd you learn them that way?
I haven't flipped since 2010, last Rampage, so just going for it, a little sketchy. I don't know about the two-stage. I just hang on for him and go get it, you know, just moto out of it.
Unbelievable. To have a flip on lock like that, well, and scores coming in. No improvement, but he will hold on to 3rd place. So potential for the podium for Logan if he can hold on to that score. Wow, so 78.5. A slight improvement, but he doesn't move on the podium, I should say. Right back to the top, and we continue with the 2nd and final runs of 2012 Red Bull Rampage. And as anticipated, the riders, the athletes here over-delivering, blowing everyone's expectations out of the water, putting together such solid quality runs. Andreu Lacondeguy, here's a rider that we thought perhaps got maybe underscored, has so much energy, so much speed. Watch the tenacity and just the sheer rawness of this upper section.
How he charges this upper section is mind-blowing. This is easily one of my favorite riders. So much style, it's unbelievable. And like, this is a gnarly situation, and he's charging it like it's a basic bike park trail. He knows what he's got to do to step it up, and I'm pretty sure he's going to here because he's so confident, so solid, and so stylish.
And he knows he's just outside of the podium in 4th place. There's that flip, same spot.
Probably the best executed we've seen there into his least favorite jump, the sender, which is going to bring him into a jump that he has high expectations to do something great on.
Oh. And that's actually...
That was the move that was going to put him up higher on the podium.
A pivotal part in his run there. A missed trick on one of the hits.
See how stylish and whipped out that was?
I mean, really has that moto influence. It's so cool. But it's you know, you talk,
it out.
You talk about trying to come back on a 2nd run when the judges know that you've added something more to your run. That can make the big difference. You will sometimes get a 4 to 5 point bump.
I think Andreu knew the minute he came off the Oakley Center and hit that next jump that was the differentiating point. And I don't even think he actually cared at the bottom because he's like, well, that was it. He's a smart enough competitor to know.
I think it's fair to say that the way that he has progressed in the past 2 years, we are going to be watching this rider for many, many years to come.
I would say so too, and he seems to bounce back from injuries and falls. He's so tough.
And you can see just how narrow that little trail is that they built.
Yeah, this section of his line is so impressive. He just charges it, no hesitation. That's what he told me. I don't want to slow down once. I just want to charge through it like I was just riding down the hill.
He was upset that it was starting so early today. I think he wanted to start in the afternoon after some tapas and some siestas.
I think he definitely needed a siesta to excel, is what he was mentioning.
Yeah. But he did.
Into the Oakley Center. You got to wonder what's going through his mind here and why he didn't do the big pivotal move that he wanted to on this next jump. Look at the compression on the forks.
So Lacondeguy, run 2 in the books. Do we expect an improvement? Not so much if you consider just the strength of that first run score. No improvement. 4th place will be the best he can do.
I almost died in there. I almost died in the center.
I think those in the know in the sport could not have predicted what we're looking at right now. There's been so many upsets, so many surprise performances, but nonetheless entertaining. If you were not entertained, I would be shocked. It has been an incredible day here at Red Bull Rampage. Kurt Sorge still in the top spot, but how about Antoine Bizet coming in and getting that 2nd place for the moment?
Well, 4 backflips, and in equally split all the way down the course. That first one so unexpected on such a high exposed spot. Maybe not the most amplitude of backflips, but wow, what a place to take a chance like that.
And you talk about this event and drawing the likes of riders that you probably wouldn't normally see in a big mountain atmosphere. Hunziker is one of those riders that obviously potentially out of his element, but he's definitely taking some great, acclimating skills to taking the lines that he's doing.
And I like the fact that he's a rookie and he's taken the traditional, natural approach to the Rampage. He's picked himself a very raw, rugged line, and he's like, you know what? I'm not going to take the bike park line down here. Not that there is one, but I'm gonna show these guys that I like to ride the big mountains. Here we go, dropping into it.
This isn't your local mountain. There's no easy way down. No cat trail to the lodge for hot coffee.
Exactly, but that's a raw line. Nice big airs.
But it does say something, that the fact that the FMB, the tour, that this is the final culminating event, getting these riders really and exposing them to what a lot of people will say is the best amalgamation of all aspects of riding. It's this, almost does not clear the Oakley sender there, but it gets these riders out, and it basically calls on every skill set in mountain biking.
Exactly. Nice big styly air, and like you're saying, Pat, it encourages these dirt jumper slopestyle riders that aren't normally exposed to this to say, you know what, I want some of that. Well, nice to see Hunziker get through his rookie Rampage safely and unharmed, and he's satisfied.
And can we point out rookie in the finals?
Yeah.
Well done, sir.
Well done.
So great performance from Hunziker on his first appearance at Red Bull Rampage.
Representing Switzerland.
Yeah, a valiant effort. We talk about other riders out of their element here. I mean, we had, Janone and Pilgrim, Sam Pilgrim. They were like kind of in survival mode, but he's flourishing.
That's a very good point. Maybe a substantially lesser known rider, and he seemed to handle it just beautifully.
Yeah.
You're getting a good look at the kind of dirt and how deep and sandy it is. And look at that landing. That's not exactly smooth like a sidewalk or a dirt jump. He's landing on rocks poking out everywhere.
It's an acne-ridden face is what it is.
Definitely. A lot of sand in there.
So 2 full pulls for Hunziker. A 57, not as good as his first, so the best he'll be able to do here at the 2012 Red Bull Rampage is 15th place. And a great perspective of just how high this drop is. To think that these guys are dropping a little over 1,000 vertical feet, just zigzagging their way across this range. And Nico Vink is been out here all week. We talked about it earlier, had some good help from some established veterans, really sculpting a line where basically just to get him in, and then in between, completely untouched, just riding the raw aspect of the hill. I think you'd be hard-pressed to find any disappointed fan out here today, because the level of riding on the first and second runs has been so strong. We were talking about Nico Vink, just how much work he's been putting in to his line. And talking to a lot of the purists, they said, you know what, if I did have a fantasy Rampage team, Nico Vink would be on my team. I think he definitely shows promise. I think, has he been putting in the run necessary to get to the top podium? Maybe not, but it's interesting to see what he might add to this very raw line.
Yeah, he definitely commits right out of the gates, and you know, dropping into the fall line right off the start is pretty cool, but perhaps he's heading to his original line that he said he didn't like so much. I think he's going to, because that line he was working on yesterday, he said he wasn't too sure about it, but there it is. This is the line that he talked about that he was not very comfortable with.
Yet
landing on a little shelf.
Oh,
nice.
Incredible.
That was awesome. I don't know why he was unsure. He handled that like it was, he had done it 25 times. Great style. You can see the speed and the style that, you know, rare other than World Cup racers have. He seems to be having a great time out here. Every time I've seen him, he's smiling, he's charging.
There's that option off the side of the center there. So the Belgian rider
charging.
A lot of speed, that step up.
Nice. Not quite all the big tricks that it's going to take to stand on the podium, but nonetheless seriously charging the course.
And I have to say, I think we're both guilty of a little bit of the desensitizing aspect. We've seen all these riders all week, you know, around it so much, and you know, these tricks becoming commonplace. Getting a little caught up in that soft dirt.
Went a lot further than most of the riders on that thing.
But take the top section of his line. Consider that for a second, where he came in, and you're basically you're traversing. That jump is traversing. You know, against the cliff. It's such a finite landing zone.
Serious billy goating. He just, it's a side hill thing, drops in. If you miss it, you're definitely going to get pulled in and probably tumble partway down the mountain.
Yeah. Nico Vink, second and final run here in the finals at Red Bull Rampage.
Not as I wanted to, but that's the way it is. It's good.
Trying to improve upon that first run score. When he dropped in, he was in 13th place. And there's that unique line just off to the side.
First time, it's something different.
And he does have that confidence. You talked about the confidence.
Yeah, I like the option to not take the, you know, it's his first time here. He's a pure free rider in his heart, I guess, because he's like, you know, I can take the thing that's there, but I'm gonna make my own way down.
And it was classic though, watching these guys in the build-out. It's almost they enjoyed that as much as the actual riding up there. They were literally with axes, you know, basically destroying a mountain in such a good way. I mean, the line that they made was incredible.
How about the fact in the earlier interview how he talked about the camaraderie about him, you know, I asked Vanderham if I could use his line.
So no improvement. The best Nico Vink is going to do here at this year's Rampage is 13th.
You're a good one, really? Short. Oh, man.
Got it. So far, Kurt Sorge remains on the top. That score, 86.75, just a decisive difference. Bizet in second, Binggeli in third, and Lacondeguy rounding out the top four. Pierre Edouard Ferry, 18th place, and I think we were both a little surprised about the lack of intensity of his first run. It's going to be interesting to see if he turns it on. He definitely has. We watched him all week practicing, was stringing together some great lines.
It is his first Rampage, and we know he's totally capable, but he seemed pretty nervous, but he seems like he has a little more speed and conviction. He's flowing into it right now. But he was definitely hesitant on all his jumps and stuff. But here he's getting to those parts again. Seems like he's got some good fluidity going. Another raw, rugged line. You can see how deep the soil can be. Again, sucking it up. He has to take these ones small because he has this different line here. He's charging now.
He'll work his way across. Pointed out that soil through that rough section. So hard to ride through.
And he has this unique line that zigzags back and forth along the mountain. It's unique, but it is a bit of going back and forth. You got to wonder how that plays into his score.
Completely vert on that section right there. Goes up and over, almost.
It's double.
Yeah. Almost getting a little stuck. You can see great absorption there.
Pierre needs to throw a flip or something in there that I know he can do. Don't think the manual's going to do it, but it does look good. Oh.
Still able to have speed. Yeah, a lot of the riders on that same jump seem to be casing it. So, final run for Ferry. We have to say an improvement, but in terms of what we've seen from Sorge and these riders that are coming back in their second runs, and they're able to up the intensity, you know, like you said, he would have needed something, like some type of hammer, some trick, whether it be a flip on that step down that you.
And even the amplitude, there wasn't really a huge error in the run at all. So if you want to stand on the podium here, like we've discussed, you need all components to that run.
Well, just a few more riders to drop in on their final runs, where best run counts. Looking back on Ferry's run, and there's that section that it gives you such a great perspective.
Oh yeah, look at how exposed you are. But again, he seems a little, he's straight. I mean, he's textbook executing it. But what the judges want to see is that style and fluidity, and we're like no tricks, and the style's pretty stiff. So it's going to be hard to stand up there with the best without throwing that into you.
And watching this on the from the front of this, someone that can't even imagine what is this like. Someone you've done this.
It's so steep you can see his belt pretty much on his back.
Yeah.
You can read the name on, and that's a typical, when you're riding a raw line like that, you get pitched forward. You got to hold on for dear life, and he did muscle through that.
He did. An improvement as we expected, but not enough to really make a difference. Best he'll be able to do is 17th. Pierre Edouard Ferry of France. So the current standings continue to have Kurt Sorge on top, Bizet in second, and Binggeli in third. But the plot thickens here in Virgin, Utah at the Red Bull Rampage, because on top of bragging rights of the most coveted event in the sport, Rampage is also the free world mountain biking, the world tour, the world title. And we're talking about that battle between Semenuk and Söderström. Here's the situation. Semenuk, despite everyone's predictions, faltered, and he faltered drastically, leaving the door wide open for this gentleman right here. Martin Söderström, he needs to get 7th or better. If he does that, the world title is his. Can he do that? 7th place, you're looking at a score held by, the McCaul brothers rounding out 5th and 6th. So that no easy task when you consider both McCalls, the runs that they put in.
Absolutely, he's got his specialized sled here, pointed into the fall line. And he looks like he's come to take that FMB Tour the way he's charging this. And I don't think he ever thought he was going to be in this position. But he's a true competitor, and he's won contests before, and I think he's very, very serious about doing this right now. He did bobble a little bit on his other runs. I heard him talking to Darren Berrecloth and to Cam Zink about what he needs to do, a couple technical tips. He's putting together a very smooth run here. When he gets into the bottom, I think we're going to see his big slope style tricks come into it.
But you know that the bottom of Tyler McCall's run, how strong it was. Can this even compete with that?
All he needs to do. Nice. Huge improvement there on his last run. And here he's coming into this technical part. He's getting pretty comfortable with this. But just a straight air, technical line. And Here he needs to throw down every slopestyle move he's ever had to get in there. Nice style. There's the three again. Oh.
And Söderström goes down right at the end, throws a massive three. Almost lands in the flats, just hurled off the ledge. Remember, the score he has to better is a 69.25.
I would hate to be a judge. That's why I hate judging, because
Well,
right now, what are they? They got a lot in their hands.
And where do you think Semenuk right now? Where is he right now? You know that he's done the math. You know Semenuk,
He's done the math.
He knows exactly what needs to happen. One of the most competitive guys in the sport.
I think he's probably just let out a big sigh of relief, but let's see what the judges say.
Yeah.
It's hard to know. I can't even, there's so much math going on here. 2 different titles on the line.
It would be consolation for Semenuk, because I know he was disappointed about his performance, but looking back on Söderström.
I gotta say, this was the highlight of his run right here. You know, this lanky Swede just cacked it out here on this step-up jump, which is exactly what he needed to do all the way around down the course, because that's actually what he's got and what he's really good at.
What about the style on this, though? Just a little too much.
He had trouble with that the first time, too, and I think he actually did a little better on the first one.
You can see him trying to...
That's a competitor. He's not like, I'm going to go down. He's like, I'm going to fight this thing because I have to get that title.
Going down with the ship. Was it better than a 69.25? We're talking about the world title, the FMB world title. Him and Semenuk battling it.
The underlying victory, hey?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, it's a great consolation. I mean,
for either one of these guys.
Yeah, obviously, I think Semenuk came into this thinking he's going to have both bragging rights, a Rampage title and a FMB world title, but it just wasn't to be.
That's for sure.
And you can see he's thinking about it.
He's probably got his own little abacus out.
All right, let's check in with Kenan, who's with Söderström.
All right, no, we're not going to show, no problem, we're not going to show you the new air conditioning convertible pants you just made. But you know, the top, you know, you were really raging down there. You know, what happened at that 360?
Yeah, you know, I'm used to threeing a bit smaller bikes, so it's definitely different having threed that bike that many times. So yeah, I missed a little bit, a bit too much spin.
All right, I hate to be the guy to announce this to you, but you also missed the FMB world title just by a little bit. Semenuk does take it, but you know what? You guys battled back and forth all year long. What does that give you? Does it give you a new sense of renewal going into next season?
Yeah, I mean, basically I'm going in with the same goal that I want to win next year. So yeah, pretty much same.
All right, we'll look forward to seeing you next year.
Thanks a lot.
All right, so scores coming in for Martin Söderström. Remember, we were talking, he needed to better a 69.25. And yeah, he couldn't do it. So that means Brandon Semenuk is the FMB World Tour title champ. Incredible, a great consolation for him. Like I said, I know that he had different plans here today, and it didn't play out the way that he had hoped. 2 more riders can upset the balance, and I'm calling them the new first family of freeride mountain biking. The McCauls are a force to be reckoned with. Tyler McCaul, when you talk about the creativity on the lower half, where we've seen a lot of riders struggle, where they've had strong top portions, he puts it all together in 7th place. Here we go.
Let's see what he does on the top here, because I got to say that I think his top line choice is not sensational, although he's charging it. And it seems like the judges didn't like as much as the other riders going big on the top. He saves it for the bottom, and there's something about his score that seemed like maybe his line choice must have been the lacking factor, because the rest of his run was great.
Yeah, I'm sure as a rider, you've been there on the side of the bike as a competitor. Is it difficult to figure out what the flavor of the moment is?
Well, you can't just look at what you want to do. You actually, there it is again, that huge no-hander. You got to look at what the judges want to see, and you need to play to them. That's the game.
Well, Tyler McCaul.
Here comes his first huge air. There it is.
Oh!
Stomps it. I love this air. This looks so technical to me.
And that is so deceiving from that angle. It's huge. Clears the wall, the gap to wall ride once again. So Tyler McCaul, another stand-up run.
I think that's the biggest rhythm section in the world.
I mean, how would you compare that to his first run? I mean, he did everything that he did. There was, I would say, even a little bit more confidence in sections.
I think he charged the top ridge a little better.
He really did, yeah.
So it'll be hard to say if that score improves a lot, but again, it's that component of the huge trick within that line.
You have to get close to an 80. You have to better a 78.5 to move into the top 3.
Hey, Tom, how you doing for fuel? We got to ship the judges right now. Last rider.
And judging by the performance that we've seen by him and the intensity.
How about the fact that him and his brother are back to back on the scores right now? Is there a little mini story to this? I gotta get my big brother.
Well, I'm sure there's some friendly rivalry over the years. I know we're well aware of.
You can shut down.
Check this no-hander. It's like he's going off a little low floater. Like you know, most people couldn't even do a trick over. There's no pop whatsoever. And I know I used to be a no-hander guy. Without the pop, it's really hard to do a trick like this.
Just what about the speed control on this to get that speed perfect for that?
Awesome. It's a huge error, followed by a setup jump, followed by another huge error.
Yeah, this is the one that's deceiving.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
well, it's a slight hip. It's not that wide. It's not that long of a landing. And then you go, oh, I made it. And then you're into another huge jump.
Just
constantly. No-hander. Perfect.
It really illustrates. You see it slowed down there. Just the bike control and the comfort that these riders have, whether it be on the air or on the ground. Tyler McCaul, you can see him waiting for his score as we check in with Kenan.
All right, Tyler, you know what? A lot of riders look comfortable on the big stuff up top.
Yeah.
You're definitely comfortable with the big stuff in the air.
Yeah, it was a gamble picking a line on the ridge like that, and it got real windy. I had a drop that I rolled and then dropped down, and I wanted to go from the top really bad, and I wanted to no-hander the next one, but I was coming in, and it felt good, and then I just saw the flag ripping, and I pictured myself getting offline and riding off the next cliff in the wrong spot, and who knows what would happen. So, I mean, I'm happy I made it down in one piece. That's all that really matters, and that was the most fun shit I've ever ridden.
All right, I know you're also interested in getting over to see the next competitor. Do you have any insight? You can tell us what to look for with your brother?
That's my brother. You never know. He's a really down-to-earth guy, but when it comes down to it, he's competitive, and we work together. We kind of help each other, so I got a good idea of what he's going to do, but we'll see. I hope he pulls it together. We'll see. I can't wait.
Neither can I.
Anything better than the incredible vista is the explosive performances we have bared witness today here at Red Bull Rampage. Only one more rider to go. There's Kurt Sorge. He is in the top spot, and the one rider to go is none other than Cam McCaul. The situation is simple. If Cam McCaul can have the run of his lifetime, he will be the 2012 Red Bull Rampage champion. And the run that we saw him throw down earlier should have been enough to take a Red Bull Rampage title in the past, but we saw Kurt Sorge, his line, his technical aspect up top. What does Cam McCaul have to add? He has that huge canyon jump. He takes the line across the ridge. Is there anything he can do to pepper it up, as you say, Richie, to make this a Rampage winning run?
Well, of course, Cam is capable of winning slope styles, so you know he has all the tricks, and I'm sure in his mind he's just going to place some of those tricks into some of these huge airs, and he's totally capable here. I would be slightly surprised if he pulled out something we aren't expecting and tricked something super impressive
over the canyon gap.
Well, he's got about 3 or 4 places on his run that he could add things to that would actually be mind-blowing.
Well, there was talk before Cam Zink, unfortunately, was taken out in practice, but there was talk of a backflip or something progressive over a gap like that. I would shudder to think that that's even possible, but...
Nice hip jump. Right now, we're still seeing the same run as last time, so surely his plan is to throw a trick in on one of these huge features, and there's about 3 or 4 of them on there. Let's see what he's got here.
And this is the part of the line that is highly technical.
Huge transfer.
And you could speculate the judges don't like the top section of that line, but they definitely like this.
Exactly. He's left it down to this. This is it right here.
Here we go. Here's that gap.
Nice.
Just has it dialed, clears it no problem.
Step down. Here's where he gets into the tricks of his run. Nice whip.
And currently, Cam McCaul.
I think he lost some speed there, and that was one of his big moves. And I think that his last run.
Cam McCaul currently in 7th place. The run to beat right now, 86.75. What would you say right now? I mean, Sorge already...
There's already people throwing the young man on their shoulders.
Potentially a preemptive celebration.
Awesome. What a great year for Sorge.
You know what? Looking back at Cam McCaul's run, there was a part of it, like you said, that section that you really like, the technical aspect, but he does traverse, he loses a lot of elevation going over there. Is that something that the judges say, you know what, we like what you're doing here, but it's not enough? And when you take Kurt Sorge's run, top to bottom, it's non-stop.
Well, like we discussed on the last run, Pat, basically, you can't just play into what you like or what's in your mind and build your run off a big move. You got to say, what do these judges want? And I think that's what Sorge did. He built in every component that the judges are looking for and owned it.
Well, there were moments where it clicked for Cam McCaul.
He dropped in with more conviction than last time, and definitely got great amplitude and style. You can't get it more flat and whipped out than that on that hip. And, you know, it's a different line. It's a different choice. I think possibly the step down that he had was a little under-evaluated for how gnarly it was. But down here, I think, is where it went a little wrong. It looks like he caught something where his big moves were going to come into it. It looks like he caught a little dust, and it just didn't happen.
Well, right now it's unofficial. Unofficial at this point. I would say Kurt Sorge potentially taking the title, but we'll have to wait and see until the scores come in. But on a technical aspect, the way that he strung that line above the canyon jump, I mean, that's some brilliant technical.
Well, look at this double drop. I mean, this line is no slouch. It's got hips left, it's got hips right, it's got step downs, it's got the longest gap on the whole course. And just before it, he has to hip into this.
That turning aspect, he lands basically in a turn on that. Just taking that straight is.
And let's not discount how that canyon gap has been so, you know, took out Cam Zink. Cam McCaul's first jump on it crashed hard. That's the real deal.
And he does not do it. Cam McCaul could not better. That means Kurt Sorge is the 2012 Red Bull Rampage champion. We check in with Kenan, who's with our champ.
Sorge, man, it's been an incredible year for you, bro. I mean, where the trail ends, you had one of the most talked about segments in that film, traveled the world, and now you are yet another in a long and illustrious line of winners for the Red Bull Rampage, man. Come on.
Thanks, man. Dream come true. Never imagined actually winning this contest.
All right, so let's talk about how you did it. You know, you got here early. You had a slew of guys helping you with your lines. I mean, how did you dream these lines up for this particular run?
Well, it's way different this year. You're starting from the top, so it's way steeper, looser, more exposed. And I had a great crew, Paul and Trav from Giant, and then all my boys from back home and in Kamloops. And team effort, really. It's what it takes out here, because it's hard work building your line all week and then trying to put it together. In the end, it's not easy. It's so stoked.
All right, man. Well, congratulations on a fantastic day.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, Kenan. What a great day. Just a historic day in the sport of free riding. And Kurt Sorge, you know, grabbed, I believe it was the second place back in 2008. And to come back, you know, 4 years later, and to get that title, such a coveted title, so few hold it. Red Bull Rampage champ title, and Kurt Sorge adds his name, as Kenan pointed out, an illustrious list of riders. Antoine Bizet in second, Logan Binggeli rounding out the top three. And thinking back of what we saw here today, you know, always, every year, it provides so much fodder for the history books of the sport.
Absolutely. You know, a little disappointment for a few of the top riders, Zink and Semenuk. You know, tough week for them. A lot of talk, a lot of speculation about those guys being on top. But Kurt Sorge, it was almost his to lose because, you know, he hadn't stood there before. If you saw where the trail ends, his style and amplitude in that movie took it to another level, so he was almost just coasting his way right into this victory.
He's a scene stealer, and I think we have to say this, that the ultimate silver lining of this year's event, and it's all about these guys being safe and, you know, walking away from this event. You know, I think we came in here and we talked about the matrix of NAR, the crossing lines, and we were almost convinced that there was going to be, you know, some bad falls, but these guys really proved us wrong, and that's probably the best news of this event. We saw incredible riding without, you know, some really, really bad injuries that we've seen in the past.
Absolutely. Like, basically, we saw the organizers get nervous and get scared about everything happening, and it actually came together smoothly. We didn't have any serious injuries, and the young man, Kurt Sorge, is stoked to be here.
Wow, an unbelievable day, and as we pointed out, so much for the history books of the sport, as anticipated. Well, on behalf of Ken Harkin, Richie Schlam, Pat Parnell, we look forward to seeing you at the next Red Bull Rampage, where the boundaries will be pushed and expectations will be shattered. Until then, take care, everybody.